Good afternoon, everyone. There's a distance between me and Professor Madden, which I'm sure we'll close the gap in a minute. In fact, we'll be talking about closing the gap quite a lot today, I think, in one way or another. Can I welcome everybody to the Cabinet? Slightly later than advertised, so apologies to folks who are watching at home. But can I welcome everybody? Now, before I start the proceedings, may I bring to your attention some housekeeping matters? There's no expected fire alarm testing today, so if the fire alarm sounds, please follow the fire and emergency procedures and leave by the nearest exit, which is just over there. Now, can I please ask that you use your microphone when addressing the meeting and that it's switched off when you're not using it? Also, can you please ensure that your mobile devices are turned to silent? I've recently rediscovered alerts on my phone and I can't stop it, so I've left mine in the office. But I trust the rest of you are technically competent, so you can put yours on silent. So, and before we carry on, if I could just welcome back, actually, to the Cabinet, Kate Taylor. Your first Cabinet meeting in your role as portfolio holder for customer experience, sport, leisure, HR and OD, which is quite a mouthful. We are working on a snappier title, but as your predecessor, Sue Dan, will tell you, it is very difficult to get it into one of those snappy ones, but we'll see what we can do. But of course, Kate, this isn't your first rodeo because you were here before, a number of years ago now, I think 2021 when you finished before, was it? But we're delighted that you're back in amongst us. A slightly different cabinet setup from when you were here last time, I think. A few old faces you'll recognise, but we are so pleased that you've agreed to take on this awesome responsibility of portfolio holder for customer experience, sport, leisure, HR and OD. Now, there are apologies for today's meeting. Councillor Stevens is away, and later on the agenda, Councillor Lowry will be presenting something that John would have presented himself had he been here. Can I move to item 2, which is declarations of interest? Do members have any declarations of interest to do with anything on the agenda? No? Okay. Now, item 3 is the minutes of the last meeting. Now, I was not at the last meeting because I was indisposed in hospital, and I would like to say that the meeting was chaired not by me, but by Councillor Lang, who stepped into the fray of acting up. I don't think, acting up's a terrible phrase because it sounds as if you were misbehaving, but you were the leader of the council for quite a few weeks before Christmas, and I would like to say that reports of the way in which you chaired that last meeting very complimentary, and it's a shame that isn't reflected in the minutes, that the fact that you were in the chair. So I'd like to propose an amendment to these minutes that we reflect what actually happened at the meeting of the 8th of December. That'd be all right with you? Absolutely. Now, I don't know whether I can sign the minutes as a true and accurate record because I wasn't the chair at the time, but whichever of us has to sign them, we will do that, subject to the vote. So all those in favour of the minutes as amended, please show. Thank you very much. That's great. So we're on to already item 4, which is questions from the public. And there aren't any questions from the public, are there?
Thank you, Leader. No questions from the public today.
Okay. Now, at this point, I would like to move for the first time today, and there will be a second time, shuffling around the agenda. We're waiting for some guests to arrive. But could I ask now that we take at this point item 7 on the agenda, which is the commemorations and celebrations policy. And I'm going to ask if Councillor Penberthy would introduce the report. Caroline is online as well if we need to her as well. So Chris, over to you.
Thank you, Leader. The Council has a long tradition of marking special or significant days by holding events, lighting buildings, flying flags. We also have a civic role for opening books of condolence and organising moments of silence. The Council's current flags protocol, which was the only bit of written protocol we have to cover any of those, dates back to 2016 and is used internally to help navigate the government's guidance for flying flags. It isn't a published policy. It doesn't set out a clear process for officers to follow when requests are made to the council about not only flags, but lighting buildings, opening books of condolence, and organising moments of silence. So about a year ago, we realised that we needed to review this to make sure that the system was open to the public, was clear, was accessible, and wasn't, as increasingly had become the case, oh, could you light something or fly a flag tomorrow in order that we can do a mark of condolence to commemorate something? That isn't fair to the officers trying to make things happen. It means you get things if you know people, and that isn't the right way for a council to work. So we wanted something that was fair and equitable, that was open to residents and communities, to help all of us to commemorate and celebrate days of significance. We've taken time to socialise this work, to capture feedback, and to inform the final version that we have today. That included attending the Housing and Community Services scrutiny in December, and we updated the policy to reflect their input, but also to make sure that we went out very widely at the same time with comms, and we watched the responses to the online reporting and comments that were made online, and actually we've clarified and done other bits to the policy in the light of what the public told us through that. For clarity, and this has become a big issue here, flags and the flying of flags are governed by the Town and Country Planning Control of Advertisements Regulations 2007. This legislation applies to everyone, including the council, and applies to all flags wherever they are flown anywhere in the country. Most of the flags the council flies are on council-owned flagpoles, are pre-approved as per the government guidance. However, there are a few that do not have express consent from the planning authority. As part of this process, we've submitted a planning application to ensure that we can fly all flags that we want to raise, to ensure that we have the correct permissions in place. So if we wanted to celebrate our twinning with Gdynia, we could fly the Gdynia flag, and we can fly the Progress Pride flag rather than the 6 rainbow colour Pride flag. All of those little nuances, if Holocaust Memorial Day produced a flag, we could fly that flag rather than just lighting with a colour. So we are covering ourselves by ourselves applying for planning permission. Any other flag being flown on any building or home would require the express consent from the local planning authority as stated in the policy, unless it hit one of the government guidance notes. And we are clear in this policy so that everyone knows, and we are linking through to those planning pages. The policy sets out 2 core principles: that on council flagpoles we will be politically neutral. We won't be flying party political flags and flags for political campaigning. And it's about ensuring inclusivity and fostering community cohesion by reflecting all parts of Plymouth's community. The policy summarises the key points of the government guidance in respect to the protocol for flying flags that we need to follow. It's clear on what flags are included in that list included by the regulations of 2007. It sets out our local criteria for when residents and communities ask us to fly a flag, light a building, have a moment of silence, or open a book of condolence. The policy is clear that in exceptional circumstances, the council has discretion, for example, to show solidarity with or sympathy for another nation experiencing a significant loss. It sets out clear criteria to assist decision making when residents and communities make a request, and sets in place a clear process for that request to be made, including giving notice so that we can properly manage it and make sure that decisions are made and recorded. Obviously, there will always be exceptions if there is a sudden tragic loss or if we win a major sporting achievement in the city and don't have the time to do it but want to celebrate it. So, Leader, this is helping us do things better, more accountably, more transparently, and to manage our own resources better for the way the city celebrates and commemorates key points. And for the first time in our history, put something into an overarching document, something we found quite difficult to find in any other local authority. I would like to thank the work that Caroline has done in picking this up, going round, working out all the different bits around the council that this sits under. I think we worked out it was 4 portfolio holders and far more than that in terms of parts of the council had their fingers in this pie, and to pull this together in this way has been quite a mammoth piece of work. So I'd like to thank Caroline and the team for the work they've done on it.
Thank you very much. Caroline, is there anything you wish to add from your remote position?
Good afternoon. No, everything. No, it's absolutely fine. Thank you.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for weaving this particular patchwork of policy together through the various departmental silos. That's a victory. Not the first time we'll be doing that in the next few months either, I would wager. Any questions for Chris or for Caroline from the Cabinet? No? Well, we're grateful for bringing it to us today, Chris. Any words you want to say in closing before I put it to the meeting?
I think it is worth saying that the flags the council predominantly flies are the Union flag,
Yeah,
the St George's Cross,
yeah,
the Plymouth City Council flag.
yeah.
Those are the flags that we predominantly fly on the flagpoles. We are proud to be Plymothians, we're proud to be English, we're proud to be members of the United Kingdom, and we're proud too of all the other communities we reflect in the other flags we fly. But this is not about not being patriotic. This is about us together being patriotic and celebrating everything that makes Great Britain the fantastic melting pot it has been for centuries.
I think that's very well said. All the details of which flags and where are contained in the papers, so people can view that online with the full policy as well, should they wish to. So that's great. So what I have to do now is to put the recommendation to you, which is that we agree to approve the commemorations and celebrations policy for implementation. All those in favour, please show. Thank you. That's carried unanimously. Thank you very much. Now, what I'm going to do now, thank you, Caroline, and enjoy the forest. We're now going to go to item 10, actually. I'm going to have the leaders' announcements, which would normally be later on in the meeting, we're going to bring forward, because we have a little surprise for you today. But while we're waiting, we're going to bring our guests in. Hello. Hello. Nice to see you all. Nice to see you. There's name tags for everybody. Tom, can you move up one so we've got everybody in? Brilliant. Sorry to have you in later, but we've just had to shuffle the agenda around a bit, and so we've just done an item out of sequence. So sorry to keep you waiting out there. We're going to do something special. Now and again, we have these things which we call big days at the office. And this is a big day at the office. This is going to be incredible. So we have got a rather wonderful and eclectic group of guests around the table today. So I'm just welcome Michelle, Helen, Cadis, and Tom and Kevin to our little gathering today. Why have we brought you along with Victoria, David, Hannah, and Glenn? We have some rather massive news. So I've got to let you know that we are going to be bidding, Plymouth is going to be bidding for UK of Culture status for 2029. It's huge. It's not arrogant, it's not unrealistic, it's who we are. I mean, we think we are anyway, right? We are a city of culture and have been for some time. And Jemima's going to be leading for the cabinet, working with Victoria, with Hannah, with Glenn, with David, and all our amazing partners on this. It is a big deal. It's as big as it gets in the world of culture. And it will be not just a city council thing or a partner thing, it's a whole city endeavour, okay? That's why you need to focus on what's happened in other cities of culture that have had this badge. Currently, Bradford, we've seen what it's done for Bradford. I mean, Bradford was quite famous and big and clever before, as are we, but what it has done is had all the eyes of the world on it. We want that for us, and we think we're up for it, up to it, in fact. So what you get for 12 months is everybody looking at you. So if you're a bit shy, don't do it, right? But actually, what it's about is showing the rest of the country and actually the world what we've been up to in this city for a long period of time. I mean, I don't think anyone in this room was here when the council took the mad decision to build a new theatre in Royal Parade all those years ago. But what that signalled then was the fact that an industrial town and city like Plymouth was confident enough to provide that kind of world-class facility for the citizens of Plymouth, but also not just for the citizens of Plymouth, for the region. So the UK City of Culture kind of cements that audacity. What it does is celebrate the place as well as what goes on in it. And what it does, it brings communities together. That's the power of it. It resonates the place with the nation. Again, I've seen my friend Susan Hinchcliffe, who's the leader of Bradford. I mean, she don't strut, but she walks with purpose and with confidence as a result of being a leader of a place that has that badge. And it means you can talk about it authoritatively and you don't have to pretend. I've said before that the city's at a tipping point at the moment. We know we launched Team Plymouth before Christmas, right? And that was a big deal. We did the deal with Homes England on the housing, the only city in the country to have a deal with Homes England of that scale and that magnitude. We'd already secured the free port. We've already got Britain's first national marine park. And you know, being a city of culture would be like rocket fuel on everything we've already done. It's worth remembering that. And you know, I've seen it as my job. Nobody's asked me to do it, but I think that's the job of the leader of the council for the last 3 decades that I've been doing this off and on, is to talk the city up. That's my job. To tell people what a great place Plymouth is, to boast about it. I mean, that's what I see my meetings in London about, because if we don't shout about it, nobody's going to shout about it for us, right? But we do it from a place of authenticity. We do it as a result of having the elements that we have built and being able to talk them up. I mean, it is a time where we have to ask the people of Plymouth that if we do this, not if we do this, when we do this, is we're going to have people break the habit of a lifetime, which is not to be grumpy about it. Actually, this is a moment where we have a lot to be happy about, and we have to tell people about how happy we are to invest in culture and to believe in culture and to see it as helping us to realise our potential. The issue isn't the place, it isn't the people. It is about getting people outside of here to notice us. That's what it's about. I remember a long time ago, a predecessor at the Theatre Royal, Adrian Vinken, complaining that nobody from The Guardian ever came to Plymouth to review a show. And he wrote a letter to The Guardian about it. And then nobody from The Guardian ever came down here again. And yet, the theatre was the finest regional producing theatre in the country, right? We all know that. And we all know what TR2 has done in terms of building the reputation of this place for theatre production, for doing world-class shows. We need more friends in places like London. We need more people to understand. When people come to Plymouth, getting on that train and coming all this way, 3 hours, wow, how far away are we? When they come here, they get it. They understand what we're building here. And, you know, we've talked about this before, but, you know, Plymouth used to be a world city. I mean, it is a long time ago, 17th and 18th century, but we were a world city at that time. We are, in fact, and still are, in my view, one of the greatest cities in the world. So much so, there's 52 Plymouths around the world. If people were ashamed of Plymouth, they wouldn't be naming their cities after them, would they? But, you know, we have to remember we are big, we are famous, we are great, and we have to be confident in this pitch. Now, I've talked a number of times about this. When we pitched the box to the National Lottery, we talked about Plymouth's DNA, and that's Dockyard, Navy, and Argyle, right? And the DNA of Plymouth is throughout the box. We made sure that that was the case, and that's why the box is loved by us all and owned by us all. And we talked about pride in Plymouth. We talked about the fact that we were walking in the footsteps of national heroes. You know, we are this place, we have so much history, we didn't know what to do with it, right? Drake, Darwin, Cook, Reynolds, Scott, Gertrude Benham, Jack Leslie, Dawn French, Tom Daly, the list goes on. We live in a world that was shaped by Plymouth, and Plymouth was shaped by the world. So for me, this is our time to recapture the past, but also to show that the future is just as bright. John has a unique story to tell, and this is our moment. Our cultural journey has been incredible too. Just before COVID, we hosted the Arts Council National Council. That was down in Royal William Yard, wasn't it? And I described a city at that time where cultural encounters were every day, and Plymouth being a place where you could experience world-class art, music, and theatre right on our doorstep. We are Britain's ocean city. We are a place where people come to make life an adventure. So I can't think of a single reason why we would not do this. Of course we can do this. It's our time for Plymouth to rise and to once again be the centre of the UK's national story. So get on, Plymouth, let's do this. I now hand over to Jemima.
Thank you, Tudor. And as Cabinet Member for Culture, I'm completely thrilled to be leading this on behalf of Cabinet. You talked, Tudor, about our journey and it being our time. Not only do we have some amazing cultural assets, such as the Box and the Theatre Royal, we also have some of the most amazing creative cultural leaders and practitioners who've all come together in Plymouth at the peak of their careers at just the right time. I've asked Victoria Pomeroy to lead our bid, which will be submitted by Plymouth Culture. Victoria and Hannah Harris from Plymouth Culture will set out the process, the prize and the next steps in a moment. But I really want to focus on why Plymouth. The guidance talks about a year's celebration of cultural activity in a unique place with a strong vision for transformation. It is culture and creative industries in its widest sense. And while it is obviously including the full range of traditional arts and heritage, it also encompasses sport, architecture, design, libraries, media, gaming, and even our natural environment. So the first question is, do we have a good story to tell about the uniqueness of our place and its people? Well, I think the answer is an overwhelming yes. Just off the top of my head, our unique story extends from Sir Francis Drake to Beryl Cook, HMS Argyle to Plymouth Argyle, Bowles on the Hoe to Tom Daley at the Olympics, Reynolds and the Royal Academy to Robert Lenkovich and the Barbican, Nancy Astor to Michael Foot, from Brunel to Abercrombie, Angela Rippon to Gus Honeybun, and from the National Marine Park to Dartmoor National Park. Plymouth has always been central to the UK's success and its sense of pride. We are blessed with one of the best natural harbours in the world, connecting the UK for 5,000 years to Europe, Asia, Africa and America. David has often talked about Plymouth as the Cape Canaveral of the Tudor age. And our culture has always been at the very heart of this city, its endeavours, underpinning the many national moments that we have shared. A city created on fishing, trade and exploration. A city that stood up to Hitler during the Blitz and danced on the Hoe. A city that rebuilt with confidence and ambition. A city with the UK's best regional theatre and arts university. A city with the most passionate sports fans. A city built on service, with our dockyard at its heart, and now a city with the UK's best regional museum. The second question is, are we going places? And how will City of Culture help? Our story isn't backward looking. Every aspect of our city is brimming with ambition and potential. Our city is supporting our Navy and nation's security more than ever before. We're building 10,000 new homes in our city centre. Our cultural scene is thriving with opportunity everywhere. We're investing in our green and blue spaces, and in many cases, it's our young people who are driving and leading the city forward. Culture is both the missing link and the opportunity for us all to come together. It is culture that will make the city centre a vibrant place to live, and it is culture that will power the innovation required by our economy. And importantly, Plymouth needs to have fun and to play. At the heart of every city is its people, and Janners are the best. They always turn up, they volunteer, they are passionate, and they will definitely let you know how they're feeling. But underpinning all of that, they are proud. So why now? Well, it is our moment. After 10 years of preparation through Mayflower 400, the British Art Show and the Box, we have an unprecedented opportunity for the city to once and for all to realise its potential as the powerhouse of the Southwest. We're going to transform this city in the next decade with a period of unprecedented growth. We have the best cultural assets, the Box, TRP, TR2, Fulston Park, Home Park, Market Hall, Saltram, National Marine Park, and 3 universities. And our communities must be at the heart of this journey, and we need to come together after COVID and in an increasingly fractious world. We're a proud service city with 40% of our workforce in the public sector, including in the Navy and the NHS. We're an inclusive and welcoming city with 4 ports that have always connected us to the rest of the world. I'm in no doubt this is going to be a highly competitive process. And whilst we are in it to win it, we can't be sure of the outcome. But come what may, the opportunity for this city to come together and celebrate what it means to be from Plymouth, to be a Jana, and to share that with the rest of the world is an opportunity that I think we desperately need. If we are to win, we need to be very loud and we need to be very proud. Thank you, Leader.
Terrific. Yeah, it's on. It's on. Can I thank our guests for coming today? And I wondered whether any of you would like to say a few words in support.
I was meant to hand Hannah Rachel.
Yeah,
Sorry,
yeah,
got
yeah,
carried
yeah.
away.
I've got a guest list. So shall we start with Hannah? Start with Victoria. Okay, well, sort yourselves out. Sort yourselves out. Victoria, you go first.
Well, thank you. And like Tudor and Jemima, I'm really thrilled that Plymouth, Britain's ocean city, is bidding to be UK City of Culture in 2029. Over the last decade, as we've heard about, the city has demonstrated its ambitions to embed culture into the life of the city. The development of the box and market hall, as well as the establishment of Plymouth Culture, now led by Hannah. That really signals the ambition. The city has also continued to invest in the sector alongside other agencies as it recognises the massive role that culture plays in all our lives. Culture is a huge connector, and any vibrant city around the globe recognises the importance of a dynamic cultural offer for residents, civic pride, health and well-being, education, the economy and placemaking. So it makes perfect sense that we bid for UK City of Culture in 2029. This is our moment to shine and for culture to help amplify Plymouth. And it is already doing this. Look at the interest in the forthcoming Beryl Cook and Joshua Reynolds exhibitions at the Box this year. We have so much to celebrate and to share with the rest of the UK, from our rich history, which we've heard about, and heritage, to our communities, environment and role in national security. In my experience, culture is key and it delivers the greatest impact when it is hard baked into our strategic objectives. It isn't the icing on the cake or nice to have, it is a vital ingredient. So we shouldn't miss this extraordinary opportunity to profile our amazing city and demonstrate the power of creativity. This opportunity will turbocharge what we already have and will transform our coastal communities and serve as a blueprint for other coastal communities around the UK. So the UK City of Culture is a Department of Culture, Media and Sport initiative, which saw, as Tudor mentioned, Derry appointed in 2013, Hull in 2017, Coventry in 2021 and Bradford last year. The impact and legacy for each of these cities has been a real game changer, changing perceptions of a place, bringing significant investment and creating civic pride. For 2029, funding of £10 million has already been agreed for the successful city, and this can be used to leverage in so much more. So that really, we should get behind that too. We will need to submit an expression of interest by the 8th of February, so we haven't got a huge amount of time, and there will be tough competition. We are already aware that several cities have announced their intention to bid, and there will be others. But if you aren't in it, you can't win it. So up to 8 cities will be longlisted by the end of March and awarded £60,000 and will then be asked to submit a full bid by the end of the summer. 4 cities will then go through to a further shortlist and the selection panel will visit each city before an announcement is made by the end of the year. So that's the time frame. I'm optimistic the Plymouthians will back the bid and input their ideas and thoughts on what they want to see. There will be plenty of opportunities to do this, and Hannah can give us more information on that shortly. Plymouth is a fantastic city with so many caring, creative and committed individuals. And I really want to ensure that we hear from everyone to make the bid the best it can be. It is a bid by and for the city, not by me and Hannah. And I think that's really important. So get on, Plymouth, and let's make this happen. Thank you.
Victoria. Hannah, you're next, I believe.
That's right, yeah. Thanks, Gina. Sorry to keep us on the schedule. Thank you, yes. So I'm from Plymouth Culture. We're a charity that's been established in the city for around 15 years now, and our role is to support sector development so that our arts and culture sector can thrive in the city. We work as a strategic partner to the council, and so it's our absolute honour and pleasure to work alongside Victoria with the full backing of the council and our colleagues in other partnerships to, we are just merely scribes to this process and trying to collate the best and strongest bid that we can for the city. I want to make it really clear that City of Culture for us is not the start or the end of our journey. It is absolutely just the next ambitious step on our journey. We have already got a culture plan in place. We published that in 2021, and that speaks very clearly about our intention to see culture as a driver for transformation. It speaks within that plan about our focus on connecting and leveraging so that we can showcase what we have and support a more sustainable future. So this has already been in train for many years, and this is just absolutely the next way in which we're manifesting our cultural ambition. We already have an incredible cultural sector in Plymouth, and creativity runs through our city. But we know, like every city, we have gaps, and it's important to recognise that. But this programme gives us an opportunity to address those gaps in both programming, venues and access in places across the city where it's not currently reaching. The prize money is just the start of the investment package that we'd absolutely intend to secure, and it will accelerate our cultural strategy and spread culture across the city. It's important to remember also that culture is much more than art. It is who we are and what we do. That is what gives individuals joy and the city our soul. So that will include for our year-long programme art, heritage, sport, food, community activity and so much more. It will take place across our parks, our schools, our playing fields, our stadiums, our venues, universities and cafes, literally every corner of our city. It will be developed with residents and the cultural sector, and we're inviting everyone to join that celebration and that conversation. We'll be running sector briefing sessions and community engagement sessions over the next few weeks and beyond whilst we put the bid together. We are Britain's Ocean City. This is not an ambition we seek to have, we are. With a cultural identity like no other. It makes us a proud city shaped by the sea and our dynamic histories, which has driven positive change across the globe for centuries. Our story is the city, our story as a city is a story of the nation. Sorry, too many S's and N's in that one. One of adventure and innovation driven by creativity, and it's really just our time to tell that story. Plymouth 2029 will show a coastal city that can once again be a national engine for change. The adventure really does start here in Plymouth, and quite frankly, it always has done. So we invite everyone to make life an adventure in Plymouth 2029. And I'm delighted to hand over to some of our partners in the city who are backing this bid for them to share their words on why it's important also. So perhaps, Michelle, I could hand to you.
Yeah, I'm delighted to join you today. My name's Michelle Dawson. I'm the Executive Director of Homes and Communities at Plymouth Community Homes. So we're absolutely delighted to be supporting and backing the bid for City of Culture. I think there's three key areas really for us. It's about pride, it's about partnership, and it's about place. So I think from a pride perspective, we've got some really fantastic residents. We look after about 14,500 homes. And we are growing as well. Tudor, you mentioned the growth of the city, building new homes. We're really proud around some of our regeneration projects. that are taking place. So I really feel this is an opportunity to work in partnership and bring our residents and work with our residents to kind of capture that pride, but also to look at the future and what we could do on that. To me, that's a really important part of what we do in our neighbourhoods. I think also around partnerships, what's really struck me, I've been working in the city for about a year now, there's a really strong partnership approach and strong partnership culture. We had a meeting last week, range of partners. So I think this is a real fantastic opportunity for the city to showcase that you can't do this in isolation. The partnership work that we do day in, day out, actually, to really celebrate that and really take that on that journey from a cultural perspective. And I think it's that chance to bring residents close with that partnership, lots of diverse organisations and different sectors. So I'm really proud to be part of that from a partnership perspective as we move forward. And I think for Plymouth City, for Plymouth Community Homes, from a place perspective, say place to me, your home doesn't stop at your front door. It's about your community. It's about what you engage with in your community. Whether I've got lots and lots of Plymouth Argyle fans that work in our organisation, that we celebrate that. Our residents are really actively engaged in shaping our services, shaping what we do. So I think from a place perspective, we've got a really great opportunity to shape that and really demonstrate how culture really contributes to that. So from our perspective, absolutely delighted to be backing the bid and supporting on the journey over the next few months.
Hi, for those who don't know me, I'm Helen Wild. I'm the CEO of the Devon and Plymouth Chamber of Commerce. I represent business across the city and the county, and I'd like to bring the perspective of why we think Plymouth's bid's so important, not just as a city of culture, but more than that, because it's a business imperative. There's three reasons why we're so supportive above and beyond the cultural things which are being raised. The first is the economic impact. We have looked at what the other cities who've had this honour have actually seen in terms of transformative economic benefits. And in Hull's year of City of Culture, they generated over £300 million of investment and they attracted 3.6 million visitors. Coventry delivered 172 million to the local economy and created 1,000 jobs, even during the pandemic, because they had it during that period. This is about more than events. It's about regeneration, it's about tourism, it's about hospitality and inward investment, and it lasts well beyond the cultural period. And we're really keen to get that into our DNA down here in Devon and in Plymouth and make sure that we make the best of that for future generations. My second reason is because what it means for businesses. For our business community, the City of Culture status means national profile and visibility, and we are desperate for that. It opens doors for collaboration across sectors, creative industry, working with tech, manufacturing, hospitality and retail. And it gives us a platform from which we can leverage investment from the government, from other sponsors and cultural funds, and aligning it with the priorities like levelling up and innovation. In short, it's a chance to put Plymouth and Devon on the map as a place to invest in, to work and to visit. And it builds on all the good work that's already taken place, so we can start to see that in terms of jobs and GVA coming through. And the final piece is about creative economic multiplier. Every creative job generated generates 1.9 additional jobs, and it does it in sectors like leisure and retail, where we really want to see that. For every 10 creative roles, 7 more are supported elsewhere. For every £1 in GVA, another 50p is created in another sector. So culture really does drive economic growth. It fuels the hospitality, transport and professional services, which we know have had a very hard time. And therefore, as those are very big things for us down here in the Southwest, we see this as a really important way to help them grow and deliver more in those areas. So for us as a business community, the City of Culture is not just about celebrating who we are, it's about shaping who we can become. It's a catalyst for economic growth, collaboration and pride. Plymouth has the heritage, creativity and ambition to make this happen. And together we can do that. I would say carpe diem. We can absolutely make that happen. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. If you don't know who I am, my name is Cadus Smith. I am the Director of Public Engagement at the Theatre Royal. I'm also a dancer in my spare time as well, so I can share both those perspectives. But I just wanted to say thank you again for having me today. When I first started my role, one of the main things that I really wanted to kind of really hammer home was bringing communities closer together, both internally and externally, and what it actually means. What does it feel like? What does it taste like when I discuss that? And three things have come to my mind, especially when we are thinking about this massive project moving forward, which is sustainability, accessibility, and youth voice. So from a sustainability standpoint, walking through the city in general, there's so much quality there. There's so much amazing work that's happening. And I think this will be a really, really good opportunity for us to look at developing really ambitious and sustainable projects within the city. With the Theatre Royal, I'm very sure that you know about our work within TR2 as well. So this really gives us an opportunity to develop that work and to look at what that looks like from a long-term perspective. From a cultural and from a community perspective, I also want to really talk about accessibility and what that feels like as well. So, for example, one of the places I teach is in Stonehouse, and if you're aware of Stonehouse, there's many different grassroots organisations within that area that's doing amazing work in the city. So one of the things that I'm excited about is the opportunity to platform those voices, which is what we do, and really kind of lean into the collaborative efforts that we are already making a lot of strides on already in the city. So I think that's really, really important for us to think about in terms of empowering and getting people engaged in their local communities. And I think with that, we can really have a big impact on community cohesion and what that feels and looks like. The last thing I really want to speak about is youth voice. So I mentioned I'm a teacher, and if I didn't already. So I work with amazing young people across the city. And with that, there's a lot of brave and creative ideas. This will give us an opportunity to platform those ideas and to really give young people an opportunity to see the impact of their words, their thoughts, and actually be a part of a much wider and bigger strategic vision for the city. So again, just bringing it back to bringing communities closer, I think this will be a really, really perfect opportunity for us to really bring that to life and for us to, again, showcase the amazing work that so many artists have been doing in the city for many years and many years to come. So thank you very much.
Hiya, good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of Tom and myself, thank you ever so much for inviting us here. It's a really proud and big day. So from my point of view, Plymouth Argyle is one of the big hubs of the city and the surrounding areas. And I think if we could sustain and win that cultural city in 2029, it would just enhance everything about it. I think is two things for me. I think the city is a very passionate, very proud city. Argyle is a very proud and passionate football club. The history with the Jack Leslie statue, etc., we need to celebrate more. I do believe and feel that as a born West Country person, we undersell ourselves quite a bit. And I don't think we really, like Jude said, we need to start to shout a little bit about what the county and the surrounding areas offer and what Plymouth has got to offer. And it's got so much to offer. I think the other point I would like to bring really to the show is with Folkestone Park developing as it is, the community just outside of Plymouth, the surrounding areas, if we could get that Cultural City Award to attract everybody into it, and to also the young people, and to give the young people that pride in the country, the area and the city that we all have, would be amazing, and to give them jobs to be able to stay in the city and surrounding areas rather than look to venture further afield where they do believe the grass is greener, but it certainly isn't greener than Plymouth or the West Country. The last thing from me before I pass on to Tom would be our nickname's the Pilgrims. And what better way for everyone to make a pilgrimage to Plymouth Argyle and to Plymouth in 2029 to showcase what a fantastic city we have and a fantastic area surrounding our beautiful city.
Very good. Tom Cleverley, head coach of Plymouth Argyle, and my insight into the city is a little bit different to most in the room in terms of I've only been here 7 months, and it was immediately you find those two words that I've heard repeated a lot, and that's passion and that's pride for the city of Plymouth. And I think that's represented on a huge collective scale at the football club, at many football clubs, but especially ours. The passion and pride that our supporters show, whether that's for our first team, our women's team, our academy, or the sense of belonging that our club creates with the community trust and Folkestone Park. It is fantastic sense of belonging that it brings a huge demographic of people together. That's both locally in Devon and Cornwall, being a huge club in that area, nationally been one of the biggest EFL clubs in the country, and maybe one day on a global scale as well. So I've certainly inherited and developed that passion and pride for the city, the football club, and all the people, and I'm thoroughly enjoying being a part of that.
Thank you all very much. There's nobody else. I haven't forgotten anybody, have I? Hey, look, you've all expressed it so wonderfully well that, you know, there's a lot of strings to our bow here, aren't there, you know? And Tom, you know, that sense of belonging thing's really important. That is the key to this project now. It's getting everybody behind it and everybody feeling it's for them. I mean, the whole thing about, you know, why the city council has been through austerity and why there's been so much financial pressure, why we've continued to invest in culture and creativity is because we've always believed in the latent talent and actually the very well expressed talent of people who are in Plymouth. We've backed them. You know, we've had all these national portfolio organisations here in Plymouth, and that hasn't happened by accident. It's happened because there is this incredible creativity here. And I suppose, you know, the reason for getting behind this is because we want the best kept secret in culture to be a secret no longer. You know, there are other parts of the country that don't know half of what we do, but get a better rep, and that isn't, well, we mainly put a stop to that now. I think this is what this is all about. Our time has come. The whole purpose of the culture and creativity is to create a city that people want to live in. So with that thing about Team Plymouth and the jobs in the dockyard and the 25,000 jobs that are going to be created over the next few decades, is that there has to be more than work. And, you know, what you all do is get people to want to stay and live in Plymouth because there's something to do. You know, we talk about visitors numbers, we talk about an urban spirit, we talk about the National Marine Park and the après-ski effect in Plymouth, where we have, you know, plenty of things to do. And this is what this is all about. It's going to unleash even more of our potential, whatever field you're in, whether it's dance, whether it's dancing on the pitch. You know, we've got an incredible amount to give to the country. All we want, all we're asking for is the chance to shine. Because we have built a foundation, a rock solid foundation for being able to deliver City of Culture in 2029. And we want this badge because we want to push on and do even more. And I believe that we will. So can I thank you all for coming today, but more importantly, thank you all in advance for what you're going to give to our bid for the City of Culture 2029. I know you wouldn't be here if you didn't think it was worth doing. But what it will do is it will enhance your organisation's reputations as well as the city's if we pull this off. Sorry, when we pull this off. So, once again, is there anything you'd like to add as you will be leading politically this charge?
I just really haven't been so excited about anything for quite a while. I'm incredibly excited about it. And I think it's because we all know what Plymouth is. We all know what Plymouth has. Let's share that with the rest of the country. Get on Plymouth. UK City of Culture 2029, here we come. Thank you.
Thank you all very much. You are free to go. Get on. No decision today. No decision today because there will be plenty of decisions coming down the track. But today we are we're seeking permission and telling people we're interested, and that's what it's all about. Got a good feeling about this. Whatever happens, bringing everybody together around this is going to be a good thing to do, you know. So if you're wondering where everybody's gone, they've gone for a photo because you can't do something like this and not have a group photo, right? But for the rest of us, if with your permission, could we carry on with the rest of the meeting? Thank you. That was brilliant, though. Everybody was so superb, they weren't they? I think I missed item 5, which was chair's urgent business. Do I have any urgent business, Jamie?
Thank you, Leader. No urgent business today.
Thank you very much. In which case, what I'm going to do now is to go to another main event, by the way, today, is the item 6 on the agenda, which is the draft budget report for 26-27. We've got Councillor Mark Lowry, who's our cabinet member for finance, amongst other things. We're only going to say finance today. And David Northey, who, by the way, I don't know whether you did at the last meeting before Christmas, but can I welcome you back from your retirement? I know we said a lot of nice things about you when you left. They still apply. I want you to know. You're not here on some sort of weird job application thing. You know, we know your expertise and we know your passion for this city and for the city council. But could I thank you for coming back and helping us out? We're gonna lean on you quite a bit, not just today, but for the next few months. So I'm going to hand to Mark now, if you want to start the ball rolling, please.
Thank you, Chair. You're right. This is another significant item, and I'm available for photographs afterwards, if anyone wishes to have them. So form an orderly queue, or not, as the case may be. I'd also like to start off by saying thank you to David Norby for coming back and helping us out during this period. I also would like to say a big thank you to Helen, because this budget looks very much different to the budgets we've done in the past, and I know that she has put a tremendous amount of time and work and continues to do so. So on behalf of us all, I'd like to say thank you for the work you've done so far in respect to that, please. So yes, we do have a draft budget before us of some £318.075 million. So that's quite a lot of money, as you'll appreciate. And it does look very different to the budgets you've seen in the past. When we talk about the council's budget, we roughly talk about £250 million, there or give or take a bit. But this year, it's some 318 million. So why is that? Well, the first thing is, every year we get a number of grants from central government, and the discretion, the one-off, we can't plan for them. They often change in their levels and their timing, and it makes it very difficult for us as a council to plan our departmental spending. So I'm really pleased that government has done away with that and rightly rolled in those grant funds into our revenue support grant. So when I normally talk about us having a revenue support grant of roughly about £12 million, I think going forward I'll be talking about a figure of some 69 million pounds. So that's the first thing. We've got those grants rolled in, and that also makes it a little bit difficult to track some of the monies that we previously had, because some things have gone up, some things have gone down. Well, why is that? Well, principally because there's been a significant rolling in of grants into our revenue support budget. The other bit of good news, of course, is we've got a 3-year settlement here. Previously, we get settlement on an annual basis. Once again, that makes it very difficult for officers to plan their expenditures moving forward. This is much, much more professional. It gives us an opportunity to plan much more effectively and inform our medium-term financial strategy. So some very good news there. Additionally, of course, the settlement does provide additional money to the council for a whole host of services moving forward, and I'm going to attempt to sort of set out what some of those are. However, you won't be surprised to hear, because you pretty much hear me say it every time I speak, sadly, which is there are 4 areas in this council that, and I know, David, I'm not having to go at you personally as the officer responsible for some of them, but David Haley has a responsibility for children's services, of course, and sadly, in that arena, we are having to support more children than we normally would do. And the budget for that area is increasing exponentially. We're seeing the same in respect of adult social care, a tremendous increase in the demand for people needing our support. Homelessness, much the same, and SEND equally, special educational needs. So these areas are actually demanding more money from the council than we're able to raise annually on the basis of our increase in various grants and revenue support and council tax. So in addition to noting that, which is approximately about £25.8 million, and that's included in the report, we also do need to make a number of substantial changes to make sure, of course, we can balance our books. So for starters, we've identified some 17.4 million in savings and efficiency, and we'll continue to explore further options in that area. You've heard us mention before that is our desire to build our own residential properties to provide secure accommodation for children's placements. We've also got a prevention strategy which will need to step up. We have a no wrong door policy programme to prevent an increase in adolescents coming into our care. And we need to have a stronger focus on reablement with respect to adult social care. Additionally, of course, we are awaiting the government's white paper in respect of the SEND strategy, which we hope will give us some further clarity on the way in which we can manage our budget deficits in respect of SEND. So whilst there is an awful lot of good news in this budget, and like I say, some £320 million, that's the net figure. The gross figure is some £670 million. It's a lot of money. And of course, we provide a lot of services for that money, and we're very grateful for the various contributors. But it will be a challenging year ahead for us, particularly in respect to those areas that I've set out previously. Included in the report, there's also a recommendation that we endorse a 5-year capital programme of some £319.725 million. So this is a draft report. A lot can still change. I know the leader, along with myself, is having further discussions with ministers to provide additional support for various areas within the council, and hopefully we'll be able to update you on that moving forward. This draft budget will now go to the Budget Scrutiny Committee for their consideration. They will spend some 2 days looking into it and advising us as to what their views and opinions might be. They will come back to Cabinet for our approval of those recommendations. We will then hopefully approve a report which will go to full council in February for us to approve the budget and approve a council tax setting. So I would just like to say thank you for all the hard work today. It's been tremendously hard this year because of the fairer funding settlement and the 3-year settlement and all the grants being rolled in, all of which is good news, but of course it's made the task much more complex than it would normally be. So we're ready to go. Thank you.
Thanks very much indeed, Mark. David and Helen, any remarks you'd care to share with us at this point?
Thank you, Leader. I'd just like to echo what Councillor Larry said, really, which is it's been a very strange period leading up to and including the settlement, which again came very close to Christmas. So I need to extend my thanks in particular to Helen, who gave up a lot of her Christmas to make sure we could get to this position today. It's not quite the position we'd like to be in. We normally try and come and talk to you in December at least, so that you've got the draft budget to contemplate, but we are where we are. It does show a balanced position, which is brilliant, but it does show some very difficult decisions. So I'd like to thank both officers and members of the Cabinet for getting us to this point. Echoing, I think, what we were saying earlier about the City of Culture, this is not the end. This is kind of the first stepping stone. We've got to get to full council and make sure that we all understand the implications of what we're putting into the budget. So it's great that we have got a 3-year settlement. That's very helpful. It would have been even better if it had given us more growth, but we are where we are. At least we can start planning and we can cut our cloth according to the resources that are coming towards us. There is still work to do through the offices of yourself, Tudor. I know you're going to have a particular meeting with the Minister to talk about some of the what we call irregularities, I think, in terms of how this settlement has landed, particularly for a city like Plymouth. So we will push back on that through your office. There's also the opportunity for us as officers to go back through a formal settlement review, so we'll put our case in there. And we'll also use the fact that we've got good relationships with MHCLG officers, so we'll kind of circumvent that as well to make sure the message lands that we think there's some numbers in here that certainly need to be looked at, and if anything changes, that's why this is a draft budget, and we'll come back with the final budget. I think I'm the first to be confused that we've now got a capital programme that is 319 million and a net revenue budget that's 319 million. I think that was deliberate by the government to make sure that happened, so I'll try to keep those clear in my head. And I think finally it would be remiss of me if I didn't sort of draw attention to section 21, where I've kind of tried to bring some conclusion to the mayhem that got us to this point and lay out some of the issues that are still facing us. So it's incumbent upon me as Section 151 officer to actually do a full statement into council before you sign off the budget. So that's for another day, but I just think we ought to be aware of the issues that we're facing, but also it sets out the work that we are doing to attack the big four. So we're not unique, it's not problems just for Plymouth, it's national issues, but we are working very hard to keep pressure and demand as low as we can. So I think that's enough from me, Leader.
Okay, Helen, what did you have for Christmas dinner, by the way? Was it a bag of crisps and a glass of water or something?
Yeah, something like that. That's all we can afford. I just wanted to reiterate the point that we've been asking for a multi-year settlement for a really long time, and now that we have that, it's important to use that with a view to longer term sustainability rather than just year by year. So if we can all kind of think about that as we go forward, I think that's a really important point.
Well, it's true, isn't it? I mean, for 15 years, we've been on annual rations. And, you know, there are Section 151 officers who have had no experience of having multi-year settlements. I mean, there's quite a lot of people in the sector won't have. And some of the conversations that we used to have about moving stuff around in that 3-year time window, we got to learn, I think, to start thinking like that again. And it's hard if you've been forced into a 12-month box all the time to suddenly use that opportunity of the 3 years. And of course, the 3-year settlement isn't just about the government settlement, it's about what you're going to achieve as a council. You know, because part of the mix isn't just the council tax, it isn't just the business rates, it's all that other stuff. And we've set out, I think, recently, and we mentioned it again today, the ambitions around housing growth and what that does for council tax, but also what it does for a whole host of other things that bring income in to the city and to the city council. So, you know, it's an opportunity, I think, that, you know, we're still in a straitjacket, but the belts are a little bit looser than they might have been in the past, perhaps. So scrutiny there'll be 2 sessions of scrutiny, and some, if not all, of the cabinet will be hauled up in front of the scrutiny panels to account for themselves and what they want to spend the money on. But I mean, you're not relaxed, but you know, it does seem that there are grounds for some optimism. You sort of hinted at it. I keep thinking about the city centre, for example, and seeing what we've seen in terms of growth there. I mean, you know, we've had, I think, a 6% increase in footfall into the city centre, which is 3 times the national average for footfall growth, which means there's something happening here, right? And the number of empty shops and properties around the city has dramatically reduced over the last couple of years. Something like 1/3 of the vacancies have disappeared, and we've now got businesses in there and thriving and wanting to be in Plymouth. The work that we've done in Armada Way so far has attracted external investment into the city centre but it's also the buzz around. I mean, we saw that article last week about Plymouth being a place that, you know, was kind of on the national radar now as a place to go and invest for housing investment, for commercial investment of all kinds. I mean, you mentioned this the other day to me that, you know, we work hard to get people to take notice of Plymouth and have it on their list of places. But actually, you know, since the thing like the Team Plymouth Yes, but also the Centre for National Centre for Marine Autonomy. I mean, we've gone from occasional inquiries to weekly inquiries from firms wanting to come down and be part of that cluster and understanding exactly the vortex that's now swirling around Plymouth in these fields. You know, we've talked about it many times, but I mean, that thing around the cultural, city of culture thing about our time, it does feel like that. And so, you know, like I say, I think we need a war on miserabilism. There's still lots of work to do, but there's grounds for optimism. The other thing we haven't factored in here yet, at least I don't think so, is the fact we've got local government reorganisation happening in the next 2 years, which again is going to change the way in which we work. Will it make a tremendous difference to the financial envelope? Probably not. But actually what it does do is give us, I think, as a city, much more heft. And again, that's important for attracting investment into the city and making us even more self-reliant than we are at the moment. Because, I mean, the key to this is not to keep going to the council tax well, although, you know, we're far from, you know, freezing council tax. But, you know, the more we can bring in external resources to play, the happier we'll all be. But, you know, what's important now is exuding confidence. As we move into LGR, we move into the Devo conversation about what we do. And it means that, you know, for the council at Plymouth, we don't just want to exist. We have a job to do in the region, in the sub-region, not just in, you know, offering 116,000 jobs or creating the conditions by which that can happen, but it's all that other stuff that we do for the region that's really important. Speaking of the region, I wanted to ask you, Mark, I mean, we're not going to set council tax today, but what's your ambition? What's your goal for council tax this year?
I'm never a fan of council tax. I mean, you'll be disappointed to hear because it's a regressive tax. That is not entirely equitable in the way in which it applies itself across the demographics, and that all sounds very complicated. But what I'm really saying is, poor people are actually having to pay a disproportionate amount of money, in my view, and I would much prefer a different system than council tax. However, that's not within my gift. But what is within our gift is keeping it as low as practically possible and making sure that we're providing the best support we can. And like I said, we deliver some 300 services. And you know what? I always say to people, how many services did Coca-Cola deliver? Well, they pretty much deliver one, which is to provide soft drinks to people, whereas we deliver 300 services and we do our very best. And the team around the table do their very best to support us doing that. So, but I am very mindful that council tax is a big bill for people. And, you know, I can't say I'm a fan of paying mine, but, you know, I do, knowing full well that actually my contribution does make a difference and in providing the services. So, keeping it as low as practically possible, and if you were living in Cornwall, say, and you were an average council taxpayer in Cornwall, and you were living in Plymouth, and you were an average council taxpayer in Plymouth, you'd be about 250 quid cheaper living in Plymouth than you would in Cornwall. So we are one of the lowest in the southwest. I mean, the Isles of Scilly beat us, but then again, they've got some good reasons, in all fairness, so I can't discount them. But we should aim to be provide good public services that residents appreciate, and equally that are not too much of a financial burden.
Well, you know, it is hard, and you're right. But I mean, we've worked hard to try and offer value for money, and it's like you say, you know, we have these statutory obligations, don't we? We're talking about keeping children safe, helping vulnerable adults as best we can. We've got all the responsibilities around SEND and tackling homelessness and preventing homelessness, and these. Like you described them as the big four, didn't you, earlier on? And every local authority, every top tier local authority is in this position. I mean, sometimes you look at the way people regard councillors and think the only thing we do is collect the bins and fill potholes, and they're quite important, and we do that. I mean, our collection rate on rubbish is amazing, and our recycling rates are going to go up. Tom's working very hard on that. And we're doing a lot of potholes. But we also got all these other things that people expect us to do. And what people have to recognise is that discretionary spending and those services that are not statutory are in a decreasing proportion of our overall spending, continue to be. And they're under pressure like never before. But we look forward to exploring these issues in more detail at the two sessions of scrutiny, and we look forward to a little interrogation. They're always very enlightening, I think, those sessions. And there'll be plenty of paperwork, and it'll all be available to the public. We don't hide anything, so you know they'll see all of that, and all the facts and the figures that we present to those scrutineers will be available to the public to see as well. So, you know, it's an open and above board process. We'll continue to not make promises that we can't keep as well. I mean, that's another thing that we try our best to make sure that we do. It's, you know, there's been a lot of stuff around the local government media lately about people promising to slash council tax and to cut out waste. Well, actually, after 15 years of austerity, let's say, I think it's been a long time since we had a lot of headroom that we could cut into, and we've been dealing with the consequence of that for quite some time, haven't we? Right, anybody got any questions for Mark or David or for Helen? No. We'll probably have some more chats then around the scrutiny period, right? But all we got to do today is basically three things. So before I go to the recommendations, Mark, do you want to say anything in terms of summing up? You're okay? Okay. Yeah, there is, yeah, I mean, I think it really is important. I'll probably thank you later because we got a few more meetings to go. But I do want to say that Mark spends a lot of days and probably too many nights thinking about this. You know, I do say that we're very lucky to have, I know a lot of people in local government land, Mark, but I have to say you're one of the shrewdest operators that we've got in the whole sector, and I'm really glad we've got you. So we've got these recommendations. To note the report, and as Mark had indicated, is subject to change because things, you know, we still haven't had the final settlement from the government yet, and we'll make those changes as they're required. Also, the capital programme, 390 million, it is a budget. It's subject to change. It will be added to, I dare say, as soon as we've actually taken the final decision. It always is. And we agreed to present the draft budget to scrutiny for consideration when the full savings proposals highlighted in the report being further developed. All right. So it's a work in progress, but we've got to start, and we'll do that today. So can I ask you to show all those in favour of the recommendations? Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. And that is that. We will now move on to the next item, which I believe is the Care Quality Commission Inspection Update. And Mary is going to introduce a report, and Gary will also answer any questions that we've got, if we have any. Mary, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Are we getting Julia and Rebecca and everybody in? I'll do my bit first then. Right. Well, we're delighted and proud to finally be able to announce the outcome of our CQC inspection, which took place last year. The initial stages started in January 2025 with an on-site inspection in June. Our report was finally published in December 2025. Our overall rating was good, which is a testament to the amount of hard work of everybody involved and gives a strong platform on which to build. The team have come along today to provide a high-level breakdown of the report and will take us through the areas highlighted as strengths by the Commission, but they will also look at the progress that we need to make in other areas. And I think that's what's important. We can't sit on our laurels. We have to make sure that we get better and better. So, kindly hand over to Gary first.
Thank you, Mary. And I'm hoping we've got a couple of slides. There we go. Start with a picture, don't we? And Hannah, thank you, and then we'll cue you in. Thanks to Cabinet for inviting us back, actually, to share with you the outcome of our CQC assessment. And just for people, this really signals the return of adult social care back into a CQC regime, and they've been working hard through the year to assess all authorities. And we're really pleased. We're really pleased to say that CQC they've seen us, and they've given us a rating of good. We feel that that really does reflect the hard work and the commitment shown by our teams, both within the Directorate, those across the Council, with our partners, particularly Live Wales South West, who we work with, and of course all those people who work and volunteer across our providing care in our city. It really is a whole team effort, and it demonstrates our commitment to those who need us in our city. And I think, as Councillor Aspinall mentioned, really, our inspection journey started in January 2025, and I just wanted to give people a sense of the scale before we get into some of these things. Back in January 2025, they asked us, and we shared with them. We'll keep to that same slide, Hannah, if you can. That's all right. We shared it was over 300 documents and pieces of information. We shared 50 anonymised care case files for them to look at in preparation for when they arrived to see us in June, where they spent 3.5 days on site. This is the on-site part of our inspection. There were 45 formal inspection interviews that included over 180 people across our system to help inform their judgments. And those were both from our teams, our partners, people in the voluntary sector, and of course those people who go on to receive some of the support that we offer, with our final report coming out in December. And if you can go to the second slide again, so that's just the summary. And you'll hear in a moment from both Julia and Louise, that's our service directors, who will take you through some of the key themes in detail. And we're really proud of the outcome of good for our city. We feel the hard work, and that's exactly what people deserve. But I would just particularly like to mention our achievement of outstanding in the area of equity of experience and outcomes for people. So Plymouth is one of a few nationally. Now, you'll appreciate these reports keep being issued by CQC. When I last looked, there were 2 authorities with outstanding and equity of experience in the country, and Plymouth is one of them. And that recognises really how actively we go and we seek out and listen to people about those who are most likely to experience inequity and inequity in services and experiences, and that we tailor what we do in terms of helping them get the support they need in the way that's right for them. And I think we should be really particularly pleased and proud of an outcome like that. I'm going to hand over to Julia and also to Louise, who will take you through the other slides. And then if I can, I will just finish off with a couple of comments.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Can we have the next slide, please? So we've set these slides up in the themes that CQC monitor us and regulate us, which hopefully will be helpful. And this one, although despite our slightly lower scoring in this area, we have got some really great strengths that we're able to build on. You know, I think one of the great strengths around people accessing our services easily. So 90% of our calls resolved at the first contact is really quite an achievement to get people the services they need as quickly as possible. We've got some clear improvement plans in place as well, and considerable gains have been made so far, particularly around our waiting list activity. We've had a real reduction in the length of time people are waiting. And our principal social worker, Becky Fillmore, is leading some work around strength-based practice with the teams, with the frontline teams, to really make sure that those teams are picking up on the strengths that people already have in their own lives in order to progress. So despite the low scoring, we've actually made there's some great examples on the slide of our strengths. Have the next slide, please. So this particular slide around this theme around supporting people to live healthier lives, I think as Gary's started talking about, we've got some real recognised strength across the city of our partnership working and focus on prevention. I'll work with our VCSE organisations, I'll support and work with public health, for example. And a number of improvements have been made since the inspection, actually, as Gary said, it feels like some time ago now. Improvements have been made on the outcomes for people. We do acknowledge there are some improvements to be made around the occupational therapy offer and the times that people are waiting in that area, but we have started some work in that space to try and make those improvements. But again, you know, our provision of effective reablement, our preventative focus with strength for CQC really pulled out. Next slide, please. So again, Gary has stolen my thunder in saying how fabulous this was and how proud we are of our equity and experience and outcomes for people. It was our highest score, and as Gary said, across the country, it was a really great achievement. You know, we've had real strong engagement with some of our seldom heard groups, with an absolute focus on inequalities, improving outcomes for those individuals. And in terms of further development, because we've always got an eye on what could be even better, our development work around cultural competency and then how we record diversity in our care management system to ensure we're really able to describe the data and describe the type of people we are able to support. But that, again, was a highlight and one which we're very proud of. Yeah, next slide, please.
Thanks, Julia. So moving on to the theme around care provision, integration and continuity, we were really pleased to see that CQC picked up on the work that we've done with public health around the joint strategic needs assessment and how we use that data and that intelligence to feed our commissioning priorities, and how we work really closely with our voluntary community sector and providers to ensure that we're supporting people in their local communities to stay within their own homes. We've got some really great experiences from people who have lived experience, who've used our services, and we're using that to feed back into our strategies and our planning. And as Julia's mentioned, some of those were seldom heard in the past. We do know that we've still got some work to do in this area. Since CQC have visited, we've published our carers strategy, which came to Cabinet just before Christmas. So we are progressing work with the implementation plan as part of that carers strategy. We're working hard with the market. We've launched our care home framework, and our extra care home framework is due to go live on the 1st of May. That will give us more visibility and more transparency over our market, enable us to drive innovation in developing the right care for people to have in the right place at the right time. Thank you. Next slide, please. Yeah, in terms of partnerships and communities, I think probably to pick out here that the work of Plymouth Local Care Partnership was highly recognised alongside the work of our Health and Wellbeing Board. We've recently launched our Integrated Neighbourhood Teams programme in partnership with our ICB and voluntary sector and health partners. And Plymouth has just been shortlisted as one of the 45 health and wellbeing boards in the UK, in England, sorry, to participate in some better care funding around integrated neighbourhood teams planning and the integrated neighbourhood health implementation programme. So we're really pleased to see that progress as well. Thank you. Next slide, please.
Thank you. So our theme 3 around our safe systems, pathways and transitions. The Commission really recognised our strength in crisis support, contingency planning, particularly with our mental health teams and the offer we provide to people in mental health crisis, alongside some really positive multidisciplinary team working for people with a learning disability. We have, in terms of improvement, we have a joint plan for young people who are moving from children's social care services into adult social care services, and working collaboratively with David and the team in children's to make that an improved picture for an improved experience for those young people. Next slide, please. So safeguarding, obviously, really critical that we are looking at how we were scored in safeguarding. It wasn't scored as highly as we would have liked. However, what I would say is people generally feel safe in our city, and we have systems that are clear and timely. So again, a strength in our partnership working was recognised by the CQC in this area. Training levels really good as well. So the training that we're providing for people around Mental Capacity Act and deprivation of liberty safeguards were above national average. So felt that was a real positive. The deprivation of liberty safeguards does need some focus. People may well be and are safe and cared for and well, but we have a legal requirement to ensure we're compliant under the Mental Capacity Act framework. So in terms of completing some of that ongoing work, that is an area that we are absolutely have focus on moving forward. So again, more work to do, as Gary said, but some areas of strength in there. Next slide, please.
Thank you. And theme 4 looked at our governance arrangements across adult social care and pulled out some strengths around our stable leadership with clear roles across the directorate, but also that really positive culture that we have around learning and improvement and the assurance systems that we've put in place, especially around how we manage our performance and use that data and insight to drive our decision making. We do know that there are some capacity challenges with the adult social care workforce, something that we are working closely with Caring Plymouth in the local community to ensure that any staff that are challenged in terms of employment are supported to find additional work in that social care sector. So that was really recognised as a positive with that partnership engagement. And next slide, please. And finally, learning improvement and innovation. So working with Live Well with Becky as our principal social worker around the AYSE, so the Assessed and Supported Year in Employment programmes across social care for new social workers, and really supporting each other in terms of the service design and the work that we do in terms of ensuring that the market is what we need for people, that we're using that feedback from social workers on what they see when they're out in care homes or with our dom care providers. And I think, just as Julia's picked up on the DOLS, the deprivation of liberty safeguards, just some work to do there around how we upskill our workforce in that space. Thank you. Next slide, please.
Thank you. So just to finish off again, we are really proud of what people have achieved here, and a huge thanks to our team. You'll see we've also invited Jill, we've invited Becky, and we did invite Andy, who couldn't make it. And I think for me it was also just to signal out some people who had really helped us in that process to come today. So that's really, really fantastic. But the work doesn't stop, does it? And I think as happy as we are with what we've done and what we've achieved, I just wanted to signal the fact that we are continuing to improve. We still will maintain an improvement plan and a programme to make sure that we use this report in the way it's intended, which is to drive up the standards and the quality of the things that we do for people in this city. But so thank you. That's our update for Cabinet.
Lovely. Did you two want to say anything, or are you happy not to say anything? Because either will do. Okay. I mean, could I just say, like, I mean, don't forget, I mean, last year, I mean, we had the peer challenge came in, and there was a lot of learning from that. And I think what was sort of pleasing to see in the assessment was they picked up on those areas that we'd picked up on through the assessment. Actually, I think that was quite notable. And you know, bearing in mind, I mean, again, say stable leadership. You know, I mean, you've been in a while now. It does feel a little bit like you're still the new boy in that role. But I mean, it's important to recognise, you know, that was, you know, that was quite a thing you did in coming in and stepping up and doing all of that, Gary. So I mean, I know you're one of the most modest people that we've got in the organisation, but I think it's worth saying. So, you know, you take the credit as well, will you, please, as well as your staff. But I think the thing to focus on is those bits that we weren't so good. As well as, you know, and it is always, you know, oh, come on, we'll give it a rest. Can we just rest on our laurels for a bit? Actually, no, we can't, because some of those things that we were kind of okay at need to be more than okay. And so we all know that. So I think what the Cabinet would like to see, Mary, soon as possible, I mean, really quickly now, is the action plan that comes out of the back of that inspection. So, you know, by the next Cabinet, actually, if not the final version of your action plan, certainly the latest draft, because we want to see that momentum picked up and continue to run with. Because, you know, I mean, the organisation and the department has shown itself capable of challenge and improvement. So we want to just keep demonstrating that all the time, you know. I mean, you know, the good departments thrive on that, don't they, you know. But I think the first thing to say is congratulations. I don't think I mentioned that, did I? Congratulations. It is great. I mean, if I think back a year when, you know, we had that reablement crisis and the strike and all those other things that were happening to us, as well as people leaving, you know, for us to be in this position now at this time, that's terrific. So, you know, hats off to everybody, and you know, for achieving this. But what we want to do now, I got to say, is there any chance? Because I noticed that photo, they want any politicians in it.
Unfortunately, Leader, I was down with the flu type cold. Yeah.
So if there's any chance of, if not recreating that photo, of having another photo with Mary in it, that'd be nice. And that banner you got made, where is that banner now? Is it in a cupboard somewhere doing nothing? It's in a cupboard. So, you know, we got railings at the front of the council house on the top there. Could we have it there for a bit? Just because we're proud of that. The old council's proud of that. It's a tremendous achievement, isn't it? And, you know, I mean, I think if we look back over like 18 months, 2 years ago, in children and adults and in SEND, the strides we've made, and we celebrate it in here, and we keep it to ourselves. And actually, people out there need to know that, you know, we're making really good progress. And people are working really hard for everybody in Plymouth, aren't they? So let's make a bit more of a show about it. I mean, it might go against the grain a little bit, because I know, again, most people are quite quiet about what they do. It's only us gobby people around the Cabinet table. But we should make more of that. All right? Any last words from you before we...
No, just, you know, considering there's been a fair turnover in the leaders of that area, you know, it's been wonderful. And I mean, all right, Julia and Lou came in after the inspection, but they're the ones that have been helping with Gary and Rebecca and Jill just to sort everything out and get everything settled. It's been really a pleasure to work with them.
Because we are good, we're doing stuff that's helping the National Health Service as well. I think it's important to say. And I think it's also important to say that we're not getting our fair share of NHS resources for looking after some of the people that we look after. And I think it's important in saying that while we're doing this, we need more help from the NHS because we're saving them a packet, actually, by doing what we're doing. So if I could, just cheekily add to the minutes for today that we want to continue to pursue a stronger partnership, not just with Libwell, but with the NHS, to make sure, because some of these things, if the NHS was pulling their weight financially a bit more towards this sector, this bit of the sector, then even more could be achieved for local people. And, the waiting well stuff is important, but what we're actually interested in as well is waiting less. And so, we need that. If we weren't here, then the cost for the health and social care system in Plymouth would be much higher. So that needs to be remembered by our partners as well, don't it? I just wanted to get that out there. Okay, so I haven't got any recommendations here, but I will note it. But I also want to thank the department for an excellent result, and also to note that we're going to get a report to the next cabinet meeting on the action plan, whether it's a draft or whether it's the final version, because we want to see progress, even more progress. All right?
That's great, thank you.
Thank you all, you're free to go. Thanks for coming today, but thanks for all that work to get this result. It's brilliant. They don't give them away, All right? Lovely. So, that is item 8 on our agenda. And now, slightly later than advertised, but not that much later, we will have item 9 on the agenda, which is Building Plymouth 10-year anniversary. And I presume those folks are outside. I'll have to apologise to them for their late start, particularly our private sector partners. Are they there, or they're not walked off? Okay, lovely. Thank you for turning that light off as well. It has been blinding, yeah. But at least it was there, an emergency. Hello. Apologies, we've been overrunning because we've had lots of excitement in here today, so no pressure on you. But it has been quite a day. So, hello. We're now going to hear a little bit about the 10-year anniversary of Building Plymouth, which older viewers might remember was a little project that was created to try and solve the overarching need for more building workers in Plymouth 10 years ago. And here we are, and we're about to hear that it's a little bit bigger than that now. So can I thank, we've got Martin here from GEM, and we've got Sam from BuildX, is that right? And Emma, of course, who's been here many times before. I'm sorry we're a bit late starting, but I'm sure you can help us to make up for time. But you've got some slides and stuff, have you? Excellent. All right. Well, we like a slide in the cabinet, don't we? So I'm going to hand, first of all, to Councillor Creswell, who's going to introduce the update, and then it'll be over to you three to cheer us all up.
Thank you, Leader, and thank you for inviting us on this update on Building Plymouth, because I know that this is something that's really very close to your heart, and you've been there at the beginning, I believe, as well. So, established in 2015 and celebrating now its 10th year anniversary, Building Plymouth is an award-winning council-led sector skills partnership with the construction and built environment community. It's driving skills and training and employment, and it's facilitating opportunities for social value and acts as the united voice for the industry. Working together to address the city's skills needs by attracting and investing in skilled supply of people to match the demand for delivering the city's ambitious capital build programme and transitioning to net zero carbon economy as well, which is absolutely critical. And judging by some of the conversations we've had earlier today, we can see how important this role of building Plymouth actually is in the whole success of our city, which we've been talking about so much during this afternoon. Everything created through Building Plymouth over the past decade will absolutely play its part as a key enabler as we move towards, as I've just talked about, a very exciting time for regeneration, major construction and developments in the city. I can see one right outside there now when I think of those 10,000 homes and the blue-green skills skills base as well for our young people and our people in terms of developing their blue-green skills and making our city thrive even more. Now, I've been fortunate in having first-hand experience in many aspects of building Plymouth in action, including, I've got to say, the absolute inspiring Mission Mammoth Steamfest, which takes place each year up at the Box and with Arts University, and really inspiring the next generation and future generations. And we're talking here right down to those young people who are in our primary schools, and celebrating the top construction, as well as at the other end, the top construction apprentices in Plymouth, and the engaging Adopt a School programme that has been been so effective in terms of making our schools very much aware of the opportunities for our young people in terms of the construction industry. And I've got to say, most of all as well, about these incredible people who are in who are in our construction workforce and such, and the amount of time and hours they actually give on a voluntary basis and such in order to help inspire future generations. I've just got to say personally, hats off and thank you so much for that. Watching the Building Plymouth 10th year anniversary video, which has been circulating on a link with the Cabinet Papers, so please, I'd urge you to watch, makes me feel so proud about how this construction industry, wider partners and stakeholders have got right behind Building Plymouth, and it's simply absolutely brilliant, and it's worth watching all three of those videos because they are they are genuinely really, really uplifting. So today I welcome, as the leader has already, Emma Hewitt, our skills lead, to present on Building Plymouth, along with Martin Dorr from GEM Scaffolding, Sam Morecambe from BuildX, who are two of the Building Plymouth's industry members, to share their reflections, a little bit of their experience, and if there are questions at the end, I'm sure all three will be happy to take some. Thank you very much. Thank you, Leader.
Thanks. Floor is yours.
There we are. Start again. Good afternoon. Thank you for the kind invitation to join you today. Thank you, Leader, for your support for our Building Plymouth 10-year anniversary that we celebrated back in October at the summit. And thank you, Councillor Creswell, for hosting today and championing the cause as always. So really delighted Martin and Sam could join us today. I'm going to give them more time than me because I think this is your time to hear directly from industry. And I think if we can go on to the next slide, Hannah, thank you. So the context of this is for 10 years, we've worked together to take forward a vision that actually the leader set out way before I joined the local authority in terms of a coordinated action plan for the construction and built environment industry, thinking about the volume of work coming down the road, what those key risks and opportunities are for a construction programme for the city. Way back a decade ago, we could almost foresee much of this kicking up. And as Councillor Creswell has mentioned, I feel that Building Plymouth 10 years has actually just laid the ground for what's going to come next. I think we've just, if you forgive the pun, we've built the foundation for actually the regeneration and the major developments that we're going to be taking forward. So that's what we've set out to achieve, to make sure that we attract, we invest, we build an army of skilled people to fulfil the requirements to deliver the projects that we're all after. Next slide. And our model is really innovative. We've won plenty of awards. This is a really interesting public-private sector collaboration. Our industry partners sat here today, and nearly 70 others, volunteer to donate money every year to the local authority to invest in Building Plymouth, to ensure that we can deliver activities, provide sponsorship for things like Mission Mammoth. That activity would not happen if we didn't have that external investment. And because this has been so positive, we've also secured additional funding from the Department for Work and Pensions. So I have 2 construction coordinators full-time on Building Plymouth doing marvellous work on the ground to enable this work to happen. So it's gone from strength to strength, leader, from where we started. And what we've created is this trusted, well-established infrastructure for construction, from the local authority to our clients, to our consultants, to our main contractors, our subcontractors, the supply chain, the education providers, CITB, the job centres. We've pulled all the pieces of the system together to join up and pull the same direction. So it's really special, it really works, and hence why we're here 10 years on. Next slide, Hannah, thanks. So on the slide, it's a little bit cramped because, to be fair, we've got over 70 organisations now investing in Building Plymouth. So I've got a problem about how I display that now, which is quite an interesting problem to have. So massive thanks, as you say, Councillor Creswell, to the industry for stepping up and getting involved. We've got clients investing, so University Hospitals Plymouth, Babcock, the University of Plymouth, Plymouth Community Homes, ourselves, because what we recognise is to build all of those developments, we do need this skilled workforce. So everybody's very well behind the activity that we've taken forward. Next slide, thanks. Along the way, we've collected lots of awards, high recognition, and I think it's fair to say the work of Building Plymouth has informed all of our skills work in terms of delivery. So we now, I know we've got Gary in the room, so we've created Care in Plymouth, which is focused on health and social care, and that's going from strength to strength. And again, it's the same principles of coordinated activity. We've been recognised for corporate social responsibility, apprenticeships, people and culture. We won a very big award last year for people and culture right across the Southwest region. So Building Plymouth works, and it's got massive momentum and buy-in from industry. Next slide, please. It's all focused on this skills framework. So the to-do list for Building Plymouth is focused on demand. So what's the construction programme? Who's looking to do what when? What does that skilled workforce look like? And how do we respond to that? You'll all be aware at the moment there's been investment in research into construction skills and what we're going to need for the future. So Building Plymouth now are very much looking at that Stantec research, thinking about those civil engineers, those quantity surveyors that we're going to need, and we're going to do some big responses in light of that demand. On to supply, this is thinking about the working population, those people that might want to get into work, that could join construction, those that are in the construction industry. How do we retain them, help them progress their career? And then the host skills and training provision. So what we do at the University of Plymouth in construction, what we do at City College Plymouth, what we do with our independent training providers, have we got the provision that our local employers need in order to build an army of new entrants and obviously gear up the existing workforce? And then very importantly, the pipeline, thinking about those children and young people coming through the system. How do we engage them, inspire them to think about being our future architect, to be our future bricklayers, to be our future ground workers or mechanical engineers? So there's a huge piece of work across Building Plymouth that cuts across those work streams. So that's really just a bit of a context there. In terms of demand, you all recognise how many projects we've got in the city. Just to communicate, through planning and procurement, we have employment and skills plans enforced on the major developments across the city. So every big site will be working with Building Plymouth. We use and maximise those construction sites to inspire our future workforce, whether they're people from the job centre, whether they're people that through the school system or armed forces service leavers. and we find ways to connect local people with those sites. We also have a client group, so again, Babcock, University of Plymouth, City Council, etc., working together on improving the transparency of that forward workload for the city. So we feel confident, the local marketplace feels confident, and we create opportunities for companies like Gem Scaffolding, BuildX, to understand where they might play a part in building our projects locally. On the back of our 10-year experience, you might recognise from the economic strategy that there's a project about setting up and leading a construction task force. Economic Development have asked Building Plymouth to take a lead on that now. So I think that just shows you how far this has come. And also we play a big part on social value and influence in how we maximise those construction sites for the best legacy that we could possibly lead for the city. Next slide, please. One of them being, you're all very familiar because I was briefing you every week about progress. So this was a great example of the local construction community coming together to respond to that Keam Garden recovery project where we had a problem, we didn't have funding, no one wanted to be accountable for that recovery work with those 3 gardens. And because of my friends in construction who all stepped up to get involved, and we had the equivalent of £40,000 in kind to get that sorted. So I remember going in with Gary to meet the residents that first day, and it was amazing to see the amount of support that came behind, but because we've got those relationships. Next slide. Just introducing supply, and then I'll hand over to Martin. Basically, as I said, we want to make sure that we attract job seekers. So that's us working in the job centres. It's about those individuals economically inactive with a Connect to Work programme that now comes under my wing for delivery. We're aligning Building Plymouth with Connect to Work to make sure that we're supporting people to access construction if that's appropriate for their circumstances. We're doing an awful lot of work with the armed forces. So I was in with the Career Transition Partnership at Drake last week, and we've got a big programme on how we can attract and retain service leavers in Plymouth. We're doing some work with the prisons, the criminal justice system, that I know Martin will touch on. And so basically this is a coming together, it's coordinated action where we are working together as an industry to attract people, train them, retain them, and develop them in their careers. So I'm going to hand over to, next slide there, Martin, to talk about his experience as an employer.
So talking to this?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Good afternoon. My name is Martin Doyle. I'm the Operations Director for Gem Scaffolding. We're a family-run mid-sized business trading in Plymouth. I've been for about 40 years. And I'm going to tell you a bit about how Build Plymouth has had a positive effect on our business and our colleagues. So to start, we are a subcontractor at best normally, sometimes a subcontractor to the subcontractor. We're generally first on site, last off, very rarely PC. But normally we wouldn't get an opportunity to meet the big buyers in Plymouth, the NHS, the Babcock, the presentations that Build Plymouth deliver to us on a monthly basis and see actually what's going on in the city, what we need to prepare our businesses for, and to meet our clients, if you like. That's never normally something that would happen, and it certainly didn't before Build Plymouth was around. So I need to thank you for that firstly. So there's been so many positive impacts, but one of the biggest impacts for us, and it's actually completely changed the way that we employ, is the link up with the Skills Launchpad. So it was probably about 18 months ago where Gareth, who's on the left of the photograph, the far left photograph there, he invited me into the building of a Barclays Bank for a drop-in centre, because the issue we've always had in our business is it's not an easy day-to-day job. It's you're out in all weathers, it's hard graft. The issue we've had is retaining labourers and retaining young people and keeping people in the business long enough to suffer the labouring before they get into before they start to build their skill set and get qualified as a scaffolder. So our retention, I would say, previous to meeting Gareth, we probably retained 1 in 10 labourers. And that was becoming more and more worrying and more concerning. How was our business going to survive moving forward with only actually keeping hold of 1 in 10 people that we were employing at that level of employment? So the difference being with Gareth and what he did very, very well for us is he handpicked people to come in to meet us, but they were hard hat ready, which meant that they were CSCS qualified. So when they came in, they were able to go straight out and work with the guys on site with the right qualification to start as a labourer. But he'd brief them very deeply on their responsibilities, how they would be expected to work, sometimes the not so kind circumstances in the weather and what have you. So they come in pre-briefed. And I think that particular day, I interviewed, it was like a speed dating, to be fair. I interviewed probably 18 or 20 people. And out of that 18 or 20, we actually took on 11 people in our business from that one meeting. And out of those 11, we've retained to date, still now, 7 of those people. So that was an app for us, was an app that changed, completely remodeled the way that we would employ. And the success stories from it, if you look on the far right-hand picture, that is one of those people, in fact, me and Emma, and we'd done a little bit of work near Emma's house there. But the other untapped resource, which was brought to our attention, the photograph in the middle is me and Gareth and the lady from Kia, and that was people coming from prison. So I'd gone up to do a presentation to people that were due to leave the prison service. Now, I can speak from experience, and the reason what I wanted to try and get across to these guys that we're leaving is that you need to sell yourself to an employer, because as soon as you pick up the telephone and they say to you, so what have you been doing for the last few years? And they say, well, we've had a bit of a holiday at Her Majesty's service. That creates a negative feeling in an employer. But from experience, I can tell you that is the opposite that I feel now. It is an absolute untapped resource. So one of my most trusted supervisors came to us from being inside for 10 years. He came to us on licence. He's now running one of my biggest contracts with 12 guys working under him. But since then, we've continued to do that, and we've continued to do that even more recently with Build Plymouth and the Launchpad. And I've got 4 guys left that came to us on licence, and they're still working with us. In fact, 2 of the guys that came were called Nick and Rob, and they were subsequently named the Sticky Bandits. But Rob's still with us, and it is a massive success story, and it is an untapped resource, because a lot of these guys come out of prison, they do want to change their lives, and they are focused, and they do turn up on time. And we've had cases where they've been on licence, and I've had to phone the probation officer and say, listen, I've asked these guys to come in early. They're going to be away from their tag point for an hour or so in the morning. Is that okay? Can you adjust it? And it has been fine. But it is a screaming success of an untapped resource, and we're going to continue to do that. In fact, I think I've got another session with Gareth on the 20th of January with out-and-out apprentices, which I'm planning to take at least 5 apprentices from that. And I've got another appointment soon to come up at Challenge Wood. So what's that done for us? Internally, as a mid-sized business, we have 60 odd guys on with us now. It's enabled me to upskill my entire workforce. So over the last 2 years, I would say we've put our guys maybe 50 courses across the board. That's including people that have come on for part 1s, part 2s, advanced, but we've upskilled our entire workforce. I haven't actually taken on a skilled person. Since then, we've fed our business from the bottom up, if you like, and now we've got new people coming into our business, looking at our supervisors that have matured, and it's enabled us to grow and get ourselves fit for purpose with this amazing pipeline that Emma was talking about that's in front of us over the next 12 months to 5 years, and service Plymouth as we like to. So I know I speak on behalf of all the members, the 70 members of Build Plymouth, and thank you to Emma, because it is an amazing thing that she's done and that we've done and that you're doing, and it's working really, really well from the bottom to the top. So thank you.
Thank you, Martin. So thank you, Martin. And then just tapping onto the final part, which is about pipeline, because children and young people and some of the contracts and the projects we're looking at will affect those that maybe not even born yet, as we know, going forward. So a really important part is to inspire, raise aspirations, and get our young people, as Councillor Creswell mentioned a bit earlier. So I'm going to hand over to Sam, who has kindly taken on the lead as a volunteer to chair our 5E's Careers Education Building Plymouth programme, and she does a cracking job at making sure that we link all this up and coordinate action. So Sam, over to you.
Thank you very much. My name's Sam Morecambe, and I haven't always been in construction. I actually started out my career, I spent 18 years in education as a teacher in senior leadership. And I actually left education and jumped into construction after meeting Emma. So really, I suppose I blame her. So I didn't leave education because I hated it. I still love it. But I've jumped into the world of construction because she convinced me to make life an adventure. And I took the plunge and I haven't looked back. And the reason I haven't had to look back is actually I've been able to blend my day job in the construction industry with still supporting education and young people that can prospectively enter one of the 180 different roles that they might find themselves having access to in construction if only they were aware. Because in a content-heavy curriculum, teachers are still starved of a context and a way to enrich what children are learning. And I think that there is such a blend between creativity and engineering and academia in the construction industry that needs to be celebrated, recognised, but most importantly, made available to young people so that they can make the right choices for their futures. And in the 5Es group, we're aspiring to achieve that. We're aiming to map children from the earliest years, from Key Stage 1 and even nurseries, right through to being employed, through exploring careers in construction, through encouraging them to take part and participate in activities, empowering them with their learning and making them realise that they have the power to choose their own future beyond perhaps their own socioeconomic circumstances, and equipping them with the tools and knowledge and skills that they need, bringing ideas, skills, people, mentors together with these young people, and then ensuring that we can employ them at the other end of it and supporting them in those early years of employment. And that's where the 5Es comes from. So from Key Stage 1 right through to employment, we want to make sure that we have a relationship with them in lots of different ways, because actually, if you look at a recent IET, Institute of Engineering and Technology study, 20% of people that were engaged with the study believe that more visible role models had the biggest influence in their career choices. So if we're not providing those visible role models, we're failing these young people before they've even started the education process. Thank you. Next slide. So looking at this then, and Hannah, you'll have to click as I talk on this one, if that's okay. So obviously, if you speak to many secondary school teachers, in fact, 93% of secondary school teachers believe that work experience and access to employers can improve exam results. And if you look at the NFER research recently, they've actually mapped that there is a 4% increase in attainment based on how much influence to work-based learning students have access to. So with us at Key Stage 1, exploring. Now Kia, excellent company, really leading the charge with Key Stage 1 initiatives in school, whether it's getting their guys to go in and read to young people for National Reading Week, improving literacy, or whether it's to do with engaging them in building a bug house and things like that. For ourselves, BuildX, we've got a really exciting project coming up this spring where we've engaged with City College Plymouth students and a local nursery, and we're going to pick a Plymouth City Council garden that we're going to renovate at zero cost to the council. It's just going to be the community working together through the construction industry that are going to organise it, which is great, you know. So from that Key Stage 1 leading the charge. And then obviously next we've got for Key Stage 2, Mission Mammoth. That's already got a bit of momentum behind it, so that actually the children can explore, whether it's, because it was Mission Giant Squid before Mission Mammoth, wasn't it? Whether it's the Marine Aquarium, Smeaton's Tower, the box, instead of walking past or visiting these things as part of a day out, actually, no, let's look at the people behind these landmarks in the city and the city that you live in and that we want you to stay living in with your skills. And then we've got things like Work Experience Week, and particularly at secondary school, though that is reaching into primary schools, we've got the Adopt a School programme. And the Adopt a School programme I'll talk about in a little bit more detail in a second, but that's where our aim is to get a face of construction in every school in the city. And I'll justify that in a second. And then obviously moving on, then we've got at Key Stage 4 level, we might have Careers and Enterprise Week, careers fairs, work experience, all manner of engagement, so that students then at this point are equipped with people and access to people that can help them find their pathways to employment. And then moving on to employment, then you've got apprenticeships and degree level apprenticeships and access to universities. And we want to keep people in this city. We want to keep that skill set in this city as well. The last picture that's popped up there, City College Plymouth, we're even tapping into the higher and further education world of either academia or vocational, so that we can map that there'll be something for everyone. There'll be an opportunity and a route into construction for everyone. And the way it works is by building those relationships from the earliest possible opportunity. So moving on then, the Adopt a School programme, and supported so graciously really by Councillor Cresswell, who has been a real advocate of Mission Mammoth, Adopt a School. She like real supportive of everything. She gets it, essentially. And actually, we've got 21 schools that have been adopted now by industry partners. It started with a few and it gained momentum because we're an ocean city, and a rising tide raises all ships, doesn't it, at the end of the day? And if you look at Ofsted and the quality of education judgment for Ofsted, they look at making sure students have the necessary knowledge, skills, including those relevant to local needs, ensuring progression to FE, training and employment. Okay, so our need in this city is healthcare, defence, construction, underpinning all of that. A teacher makes all these roles possible. Construction houses all these people. It's 100% about people. It's not just building. And if you look at how that's broken down, intent, implementation and impact. Our intent for Adopt a School was a face in every school, access to that mentor and that support. Implementation, we've got out there. We've worked out the logistics. The Building Plymouth team with the employers and members of Building Plymouth have made sure that we're getting out there so that every school, might not be that everyone wants to deliver an assembly to 150 kids, but through our network of supported construction friends, everyone knows someone who can help facilitate that. So every school has a contact so that they can enjoy that. It's not what you know, it's who you know in construction. And then obviously the impact is now every student, every school can have a trackable, and that's really important, a trackable learner encounter using Plymouth projects. And if you look at the photo there, we've got Notre Dame up on the screen, and they're paired up with Wilmot Dixon, specifically because we're targeting girls into construction for that opportunity with the emergency care centre up at Derriford. We thought, well, that's a really good opportunity there. And so they're buddied up there. They're right on the doorstep. It makes absolute sense. Let's apply some common sense to these situations. But they're not the only, this isn't just what we're going to do. There are outcomes, and there are people in the workforce today that started out, I'd like to say they're older than me now, but when I was teaching them, I'm now seeing them at events, networking events. I try not to let them call me miss because that's just cringy. But, you know, I do threaten to put them in detention every now and again. But we're going to see a short video, I think, Hannah, of a couple of success stories here.
Building Plymouth, I now have a career in construction. I first met Morv at my school, where she directed me to an early careers fair. From that, I met 3 different companies which helped me out with work experience I used in my CV. I later applied to a degree apprenticeship with Kia, which I was successful in, and now a trainee site manager as well as a part-time uni student. I'm also part of Building Plymouth Network with Morv. I do that once a month, and that helps me to network with other young people starting their careers in construction.
So my first interaction with Building Plymouth was at a school talk at DHSB. Emma Hewitt undertook the talk and kind of talked a bit about construction, kind of gave us all a very good understanding of what happens in construction, the different roles, kind of where that can lead to as a career. And that first spiked my interest in construction and looking at that as a career path. So I went and visited the job shop in the Guildhall where it used to be, and spoke to some people there who helped me look for different roles in construction. I talked through different things that you're able to do in construction, different careers, different job paths, and they guided me towards looking at quantity surveying. I was able to then give my CV to the job shop, and they were able to distribute it to local employers. And luckily Oberdare were one of those who took my CV, and I was invited back for an interview.
Thank you. And Chris now is obviously a qualified quantity surveyor working in the city on city projects. And there's multiple Chris's now across the city, as we're starting to see the legacy of what was started 10 years ago. And isn't that wonderful? And it's even better when you see them going in and training and helping out at Mission Mammoth, or training on the B-Part CPD sessions and things like that. The whole thing has gained momentum and a legacy. Hannah's catching up with the slides. It's all right, you're doing a great job, Hannah. And which leads us now to, okay, at the far end of that, so we can start with building bug houses, we can do Mission Mammoth, we can help them with their career choices at Key Stage 4 post GCSE. But then when they're graduates, or when they are young apprentices, networking events and support from within the industry shouldn't be reserved for the people that have been in the industry for 10 or 15 years. And actually we established B-Part to make sure that there was that networking support and ongoing professional development from not just a pastoral sense, but including that for the young people, the young aspiring talent that are in this city, so that they know that they're not just doing their degree or apprenticeship in this city on our buildings for our clients, they're actually nurtured by people in our city as well, because we care about them and we want them to stay here, so they need to see that we are still invested in them. And that's really inclusive, and it's really lovely that this year for the Young Apprentice of the Year Awards, particularly for the Ron Simmons Award for the Young Apprentice of the Year, there is an increased number of learners that have been not just succeeding on the program, but have been nominated for this award, and they've had access to these careers through the Learning Support Fund. So that's an increased number on last year and the previous year. So they're not just surviving, they're thriving, and they're actually excelling to the point where they're nominated for awards, which is wonderful to see. There's the access to things like disability confident employer awareness and connect to work schemes, so that these risk of NEET students are tapped into at an earlier stage as well. The dots are really being joined. So essentially Plymouth support us with providing projects to employ the people of Plymouth. It's cyclical. And then just, I suppose, in closing, you know, we work with those members of, for example, care experience people that are really struggling to be able to tap into any kind of professional growth, development and careers. And we've been able to work with the Youth Hub to secure support for those people as well. And I think there's a really good, I think it's a South African philosophy, which is called Mbuto, and it means I am because we are. I am a person through other people. So it takes an entire village to raise a child. It takes an entire city to raise the next generation. And I think that's what Emma, Buildex, Gem, Classic Builders, Nevada, all of these great companies across the city are able to do, because they're awarded projects in the city. You are spending not for Plymouth, you are spending in Plymouth. And we are spending our time in Plymouth for the next generation. We are all interconnected community with shared goals, shared humanity, and we're all invested in our success. We're driven at Building Plymouth and the 5Es Group by a shared belief that our city is stronger when we build Plymouth together. Every building block we lay strengthens the foundations of our great sustainable ocean city, creating future pathways and paving a lasting legacy for our young people and future talent. Thank you.
And the personal testimonials are always good. The personal testimonials are always good, aren't they? I mean, I attended that 10-year celebration down at Albion in the big tent. And it is a big tent, and it needs to be a big tent, because people feel they're making a real contribution. All the people in that room, aren't they? You start off, like the idea was, help yourselves, which is a reasonably sensible idea in the first place for those companies. But actually, philosophically, from what you've both been saying, really, it works better if you do it for other people as well. And you are, and I am so grateful to the companies that are involved. It's beyond our expectations for when we started, and I think you're right, where we are now with what's going to happen to Plymouth, and this talk about 21,000, 25,000 jobs over the next decade or two, the work you're doing is going to be pivotal for the survival of your own companies, to make sure people aren't poaching. You're growing your own, aren't you? And that's really important. But this old philosophy around Team Plymouth is around, you get the opportunity to not just to have a job, but to have a career in Plymouth, right? And these opportunities are going to be they're going to be huge, bigger than we've probably dared to dream about, actually. And that, and so the response, we've got to take it up a level now, in a way that you've started to take it up a level if we're going to succeed, because we haven't got enough workers to do all the jobs that are going to be created, and we've got to get those young people in school to understand, and I keep saying this, but their mums and dads and their grandparents to understand that the future is, they can build the future here in Plymouth, can't they, themselves? I mean, it's a privilege. I mean, we talk about it in this room, that we're sort of, making history, we're kind of creating new conditions for success. But actually, if it's not connected to what you're doing, then it won't, what we're doing doesn't matter either. But thanks for coming today, and thanks for what you do every day. It's terrific, isn't it? I mean, fair dues. Huh?
Happy birthday.
Well, happy birthday, absolutely. And it's the next 10 years, and what the next 10 years is going to be, actually. It's going to be absolutely thrill ride. Any questions for anybody? Mark?
Can I briefly ask about, I mean, Sam, you talked about young people, rightly so, but obviously people live a lot longer these days and change their careers as they go along. So is there a specific programme that is there for elderly people, not elderly people, but older people who wish to change their careers?
Yeah, great question. We really recognise that we need people to, create opportunities for second careers, or circumstances change. Like I said, with the armed forces community, people coming out of prisons, people just thinking, actually, I've always wanted to do something different. It's my time. So what we're doing through Building Plymouth, delivered at Skills Launchpad Plymouth now at Coburg House, which is fantastic, is we offer a weekly service to anybody in the city that wants to get into construction. So you could be thinking about leaving school this year, you could be thinking about some of the cohort group that Martin's referenced, and you can come in for a conversation with us, impartial information, advice and guidance around what you've done, what you want to do next, and we can enable people, whether you're a claimant going through the job centre, just thinking about, actually, I'm facing redundancy at the moment, want to know my options, thinking about doing something different. We provide all of that service free of charge at Coburg House. So we have all walks of life that walk through the doors. We never quite know. We have drop-ins, we have booked appointments, we can do things on Teams, we have phone calls, we share lots of opportunity mailers in construction. So if you're not sure, we can share information about training courses, skills boot camps, all of those pathways in terms of entering the industry. So we've got it all covered off, really. If anybody wants to get into the world of construction or progress in the world of construction, come and talk to Building Plymouth. We've got all the lines with the training providers and the qualification pathways to enable that to happen. So it is a one-stop shop for everything skills, training, education, careers and jobs related to construction and the built environment.
Sally, is there anything you want to add before we close?
Just to say how exciting this actually has been. Such a privilege to be part of it, and to see it sort of, even in my less than 3 years in cabinet, how this has actually continued to further grow. And I think it's we're talking about how important this is for the city and how exciting how the city is growing and how important obviously the construction industry is in fact in this. But I think what's really important and what drives me particularly is Martin giving that testament about some of those people whose lives have been, and what Building Plymouth is doing is, as well as growing for the city, it's actually enabling lives to be really changed and really directed in all sorts of ways, which is so that people can be the absolute best they can possibly be, and that's brilliant.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, we're not just growing the city, we're growing people too, aren't we? And I mean, that is the power of this thing that you've got. Well, happy birthday, and all that stuff. Perhaps, do you plug into the growth board at all? Have you, or the?
Well, David Bayliss is our representative
David
as chair of
is,
Building Plymouth.
yeah,
So
yeah.
Dave is our contact point. But below our steering group, we have work streams like Sam leads the careers education piece. So if there's any topics or themes that we can engage with, and I know David's here obviously from Children's Services. So if there's some angles here on the education piece, I mean, I've caught up with Isabel about Team Plymouth, but there's lots of join-ups there.
Sure, I mean, and David always speaks up for the trade, I have to say, at every meeting he's at. Don't you worry about that. But I was just wondering about the skills board, for example, and how you work with them.
The Employment Skills Board.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a contractor representative and we have a consultant representative on the Employment Skills Board. Yeah.
Well, there we are. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
And keep it up, please. It's brilliant success story, and I just, more people need to know about what you're doing, though.
Thank you.
I know you're here, there, and everywhere, Emma, but we do outside of the sector.
Yes.
I think the public deserve to know just what a success story you guys have built.
You. Appreciate
it's fantastic. That. All right. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all for coming today as well. So, what's that? My Jamie's partner's a scaffolder. Always busy. Always busy. Yeah, well, I've heard. In fact, I know. But that's great. So what we've got now is we've done leaders' announcements because we did that secret thing earlier on, didn't we? Which we're still sort of a bit cheerful about. So I'm going to go to item 11 now, which is cabinet member updates. I've got 3 of you that I'm going to call. First of all, I'm going to start with you, Jemima, please.
Thank you. If I hadn't had cabinet today, I would have been at the launch of our 4th Mockingbird constellation, which opened, the celebration for its opening was today. That's our 4th Mockingbird constellation, which I'm just so thrilled about. The Mockingbird programme, which I have spoken about before, but it's worth repeating. It replicates an extended family approach. Hub home carers provide practical help, emotional support, and sleepovers, and foster, pardon the pun, a community, connections and support that feels just like family. The newest hub home carer has fostered for Plymouth for more than 30 years and will support 8 fostering and kinship households, providing children, that's a really important addition, isn't it, David? Providing children with providing children with the benefit of a sense of belonging and community that Mockingbird offers. The impact in Plymouth over the past 12 months has been transformative for our children, young people and carers. And Councillor Larry referred earlier today when we talked about the budget about the placement costs that we face and how growing our foster carer numbers is really important, and we are doing that, and Mockingbird is a really big part of that because it's such an innovative model, and the support that it provides is what our foster carers tell us that they want. So I'm really sorry I wasn't able to be at the celebration today, but we really are delighted that we're continuing to expand the programme throughout 2026 and beyond. And a huge personal thank you from me and well done to all of the staff and carers involved in that fourth constellation. I'm delighted to confirm we're now the owners of our first children's home, our first in-house council-run, council-owned children's home for decades. And I think it's really important to talk about, and I have in other places, but it's really important to talk about people's perceptions of what a children's home means. I think that people tend to revert, if they're not involved in this world, tend to think of it as the kind of the Tracy Beaker style type, massive house with lots and lots of children living there. And what this is about is replicating a family home for our young people who need them. This is a really exciting moment in our programme to ensure that children in our care have access to high quality placements close to and in Plymouth. Of course, we want more family homes for Plymouth children, and our Foster for Plymouth service continues its active recruitment programme, as I mentioned, including a bespoke recruitment campaign for the new year. However, many of our children do need residential care for a period of time to help them progress back into family life, and our new small family homes in Plymouth are increasing opportunities as well as providing better value for money for the council. Some minor improvements will now be made to the property, so it becomes that family home that we're talking about, and we're currently recruiting the staff team and registering the home at Ofsted with a view to our first home opening in the summer. I mean, this has, to use that terrible word, been a journey. As everybody said it would be, it's taken us a while to get to this point, but we are here now, and it is really worthy of celebration because at the end of the day, there are economic reasons and all the rest of it, but it's what is best for our young people to have this kind of provision that we now own and run, and it is going to be the first of many. On Saturday, the 20th of December, I just want to talk about a kinship event that we held. Plymouth City Council hosted our inaugural kinship Christmas party, which was generously sponsored by Wales and West Utilities, and they also provided the money for our Christmas dinner, didn't they? Which was really, really generous. So 19 kinship families attended, a total of 25 carers and 34 children, both those cared for by special guardians and the special guardians' birth children too. It was a really lovely event with positive feedback all round, with lots of carers really pleased to meet other carers doing the same thing as them, to feel recognised for everything they do, and the children were really happy to have a social activity with other kids just like me. The donation from Wales and West Utilities is also enabled to plan for social activities over the coming months, alongside the new kinship youth group at Pool Farm. Activities which provide a sense of community for our kinship carers and children, and a chance to build connections, promote well-being, and give carers a little time for themselves as well. So again, it's a real demonstration of how Plymouth is being innovative and using the assets we've got, and I'm delighted about the youth group that's meeting at Pool Farm. And I just want to talk very quickly about Beryl Cook. The Pride and Joy exhibition opens on the 24th of January, and I just wanted to mention there's been some extraordinary national coverage already of that exhibition. It was The Guardian's top pick for the year, and for the year ahead, and there was a fantastic article in the Telegraph over the weekend. It's been in Harper's Bazaar, Good Housekeeping, Country Life. I mean, it's incredible the coverage it's had, and it really demonstrates what an important exhibition it's going to be for the box and for Plymouth and for us, I think, as Plymouthians, because we know how much Beryl Cook means to Plymouth, and this exhibition, Pride and Joy, gives us a real chance to demonstrate that. So very excited. That opens on the 24th of January. Unusually, we are ticketing that event because we expect lots of people to want to come and see it. It's free, but you need to book your place to go. So get on and book. Thank you, Leader.
Oh, amazing. Can't wait for that. Chris.
Thank you, Leader. And I've got two announcements that had both of us been at the last meeting I'd have made and you'd have heard. So we just get to do them a month late. And I begin by wanting to talk about some housing issues. And I'm really pleased to say that us and our partners have been once again recognised on the national stage for our outstanding achievements and partnership work in the delivery of housing and regeneration. We're all aware of the economic challenges facing the council and housing developers in the city at the moment, but we have a shared ambition for quality homes and places being delivered that represent the best that are being built anywhere in the country. These aren't quick projects, they take a long time, some longer than others. The first one I want to talk about has taken a very long time. It's one that you've been involved in for very many years. But at the end of November, the £140 million redevelopment of North Prospect was chosen as the best regeneration project over 500 homes in the UK at the prestigious Inside Housing Awards ceremony in London. Judges commented that they were particularly impressed by the project's long-term community engagement, partnership delivery, and the tangible impact on safety, education and resident well-being, reflecting the strong joint working between the council and Plymouth Community Homes over many years. And I think that's a real testament to everyone who's been involved in that, to take a major between the wars and post-war council estate and totally redesign it with the people who were living in it. Yes, there will always be things that could be better, but what has been acknowledged, this is a major achievement and a major award to have it. So our thanks to everyone involved in that, especially Plymouth Community Homes and people like Councillor Toohey, who has been involved since the very first discussions about whether that happened or not as a local resident before she was even a councillor. So that's really exciting. The second I'm actually even more excited about, actually later, just after the North Prospect one, Stirling House won an award. Now, that's a veteran self-build project. It was the second in the city. It was a plan for homes development of 25 high-quality, affordable homes for social rent. And included in the development were a number of self-build properties for service veterans at risk of homelessness or who were within the homelessness system. That was not only individuals, but families. And this was awarded the best development under 50 homes at the National Royal Town Planning Institute Awards event in London. That's a really significant award to win. It was a partnership between the Council and Live West, who are one of our strategic housing partners in the city. And the judges commented, this project stands out for its collaborative planning and strong partnerships, which have produced resilient outcomes that benefit both people and nature, with clear evidence of social capital returning to the economy. On a personal basis, if you were now to go onto Honeyknell Green, those really old, decrepit buildings, the old doctor's surgery and no longer fit for purpose care home, have been replaced by a stunning development. I think Graham Lobb, as the architect, should be praised for what he's done. And my father, who was a quantity surveyor and then lectured at City College in building skills, would comment on the brick bonds that have been used in many different ways to make the building really interesting. There's communal gardens and everything else. This is skilled building happening in our city to create high quality homes. And these recent successes demonstrate our commitment to excellence in house building and placemaking, despite all of the challenges we face. And they highlight the important role that Plan for Homes takes in pulling people together, in convening, in gap funding, to make sure that we maximise the value of our assets, skills and experience to ensure the delivery of high quality homes and communities for people in Plymouth in housing need, but also those who have other needs as well. So 2 fantastic schemes to celebrate there, and I'm really pleased about both of those. And another award to talk about, and this one is one that probably most people haven't heard about in terms of a project, but I'm really pleased that Plymouth's peer research network at Improving Lives Plymouth, which is part of our Changing Futures programme, has won the leading award at the National 2025 Insight Awards held by Expert Citizens CIC. This prestigious honour recognises outstanding practice in tackling social disadvantage through lived experience leadership. It is a tremendous achievement and a proud moment for our city. So just to give you some information, the Peer Research Network is a pioneering initiative that puts people with lived experience at the heart of shaping services. Instead of professionals designing support in isolation, the Peer Research Network uses an innovative co-production model. Peer researchers, individuals who have themselves faced multiple disadvantage, such as homelessness, substance misuse, mental health challenges, or contact with the criminal justice system, are employed as equal partners. They work within our services with local charities, social enterprises, and other providers, listening to service users' stories and feeding back what they learn. In doing so, they help co-design better policies and services that truly meet people's needs. Winning the leading award confirms that Plymouth is at the forefront of innovation and co-production. We're showing what it means to truly value lived experience and put it in the lead. This award belongs to everyone involved, the dedicated team at Improving Lives Plymouth, our Changing Futures Plymouth staff, and especially the peer researchers and experts by experience who've poured their insight and heart into this work. I want to extend my congratulations and thanks to all of them. This recognition is richly deserved. It highlights how far we can go when we co-produce solutions with people. By embracing lived experience, we're not just delivering better services, we're fostering trust and real change in our community. Leader, this project has come out of the work we did over many years and a long time ago to build what is now the Plymouth Alliance, where we started to look at how we listened to the people who were experiencing complexity to shape what they needed, not only in terms of homelessness and drug and alcohol rehab, but in wraparound services that changed lives and changed their futures. And this just shows what continues to happen, continues to shape the services we offer across complex lives in Plymouth through that part of the Alliance programme. Thank you.
Chris, that's fantastic news, all 3 of those things. Like you say, it's, I mean, with our previous 10-year anniversary of building Plymouth, we're also reminded there are other facets of the council where long-term horizons are actually bearing fruit. So well done. Councillor Lowry, I believe you're speaking up for Councillor Stevens today. Is that right, John Stevens?
Yeah, I kind of feel like he stitched me up actually. Now I read what he's actually asked me to say, but I'll do my best to summarise it. So, Road Parade Bus Improvement Scheme is nearing completion, and the foundations for the bus shelters have all been laid. 4 bus shelters have been installed as of the week commencing the 5th of January. The remainder will be complete over the following few weeks. The sawtooth curb line is now fully laid. The paving is complete on the shop side, and the paving team are completing the paving around the bus shelters over the next coming days. A speed camera has also been installed and will shortly be operational. However, going forward, there are a number of overnight closures in Road Parade that would take place in January and February for resurfacing works. These closures have been publicised already, and they will be publicised on a daily basis, and they will be commencing this evening at 7 p.m. and sometimes the whole road is closed, sometimes it's just a pedestrian crossing, sometimes it's the east carriageway, the west carriageway, the west carriageway. But they will be taking place Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday this week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday next week, and traffic will be diverted via Western Approach and Coburg Street during these times. The Courtney Street car park remains open, but a message to the public will be that it's advisable to park elsewhere to avoid delays, because motorists may need to wait to exit Courtney Street car park due to some of the works that are currently ongoing. However, in terms of completion, the scheme is on time and to budget, and John is advising us that the works will complete on Thursday, the 19th of February, and it's proposed to reopen the bus lane on Monday, the 9th of February, with a full opening of the bus stop on Monday, the 23rd of February. So excellent news. Project's obviously nearing completion. Another part of our city centre opening up and making it a far better and safer. I mean, you know, part of this scheme was about safety as well, of course. That opening up Road Parade and a new access point for buses in a much safer manner will soon be operational. So really good news.
Yes, it is good news. And get on to remind ourselves that Rome isn't built in a day. I mean, some of these projects, I tell you what, we'll just do one side of Royal Parade, but actually, you know, given the services that are there, disruption to shoppers and all that, I think the thing's been managed quite beautifully, actually. And it'll be great when it's finished, and it'll be finished very soon. Will John be cutting a ribbon across the bus lane? I mean, I'd like to see a photo of that. That'd be quite good, wouldn't it?
In his extensive notes to me, he has said an official opening is being planned, and I think it should do, because there is a considerable amount of money being spent, taxpayers' money being spent here.
Yeah.
And it is an important scheme, isn't it? You know, when you think about Road Parade, the works we're going to do outside here on Hampton, the Civic, and of course Armada Way itself, you know, I'm responsible for that, and I'll give you an update at our next meeting, but that's moving along nicely. So all the parts of the jigsaw for the city centre are coming together, so it's all good news.
It's all good news. Lovely, John. Thank you very much on John's behalf, Mark. Thank you for that. Okay, so I think that's the cabinet updates done. So last item is LGA update. I mean, we've already made reference to this today, but I mean, I think the principal success of the LGA over the last few months has been that announcement around 3-year funding settlements, because the LGA have been working very hard on that cross-party about medium-term financial planning being returned to the sector. And so, you know, I think we need to sort of pay tribute to that. In the New Year's honours, the head of office at the LGA Labour office, Sharma Tatler, has been made a dame, I think, gone to the House of Lords. Oh, it's Baroness. Sorry, I've undercooked that, Baroness. In fact, I think today she's having a reception to celebrate that in London. So I've missed another do in London today to be here with you. But I mean, I wouldn't have missed today for the world, because it's been fantastic. The other thing I want to say about the LGA is we've had a departure before Christmas of one of the sort of giants in sector self-improvement, Dennis Skinner, who's retired after decades trying to marshal councillors to be better councillors. And I'd appreciate it if we could send him a letter of thanks from the council for all the work he's done in keeping that agenda cooking through some very challenging times. I think that'll be enough for today, folks. What a day. Yes, we've presented our draft budget, and there's more work to do, but get on. We are going for it, and Who says we can't be the city of culture in 2029? You know, I think that was a array of quite outpowered people in the room with us today, wasn't it? And so I'm looking forward to the next few weeks as you sort out the expression of interest, and then we move through onto the next stages. I don't think we're allowed to do any lobbying at this particular stage. In fact, it's probably counterproductive. But I have to say, if we don't get put through, I think I'd be very surprised. Because I think in terms of what we've assembled as a city over the last few years, and the quality of those partners that we had around the table today, and loads more partners who could have been here and would have been here if we'd have asked them to be. We're building something quite tasty here, I think. So good luck to all of us. Right, thanks. See you next time.